Holy balls.
Down south in the land of traitors, rattlesnakes and alligators. Right away, come away, right away, come away. Where cotton's king and men are chattels, Union boys will win the battles. Right away, come away, right away, come away. We'll all go down to Dixie, away, away. Each Dixie boy must understand that he must mind his Uncle Sam. Away, away. We'll all go down to Dixie, away, away. We'll all go down to Dixie. I was in Baltimore, I'd make secession traitors roar. Right away, come away, right away, come away. We'll put the traitors all to rout. I'll bet my boots we'll whip them out. Right away, come away, right away, come away. We'll all go down to Dixie, away, away. Each Dixie boy must understand that he must find his Uncle Sam. Away, away. We'll all go down to Dixie, away, away. We'll all go down to Dixie. Stars and stripes still wave forever o'er the free and brave. Right away, come away, right away, come away. And let our motto ever be for union and for liberty. Right away, come away, right away, come away. We'll all go down to Dixie, away, away. Each Dixie boy must understand that he must find his Uncle Sam. Away, away. We'll all go down to Dixie, away, away. We'll all go down to Dixie.
Yo. Oh, man. What a tough one, I tell you what. Whoa. Has it only been one day I missed? It feels like it's been so much more. But that is, I guess, is how it goes sometimes. Man. Oh. Feeling better. Just tough stuff, man. Nothing too crazy. Nothing to get all, whatever about. Hopefully my shit is working out okay on this end. So far, so good, I guess. Saw some drop frames. I don't know if that's just going live or whatever. Hope I didn't fuck up my computer a little bit. Oh, we're getting some drop frames again. Oh, but I restarted, which means I think I need to open up my 3D printing software. It's been years. I'm so sorry. I'm trying to even think of like what individually made it tough for me. Ooh, a new version. I love new versions. Who doesn't love downloading a new version of something? I'm actually gonna undo that close tab because I'm making sure this shit doesn't fuck me up. I'm gonna say no. Maybe we'll do something stupid and we'll do some 3D printing stuff. But anyway, Man, depression sucks, doesn't it? It's not like it's a fucking, whoa, what an opinion. And I'm already immediately feeling significantly better. So I really do appreciate it, Goat, for just being here or whatever. Again, no pressure, like obviously else as well. But dang, does it feel nice. So through some bad time management comboed with bad scheduling because of the way that I stream it overnights and then do things in the afternoon or whatever, I missed a couple of like social things with the DSA. Nothing too like, oh no, I missed a picket or I missed a canvas or something. Nothing like that. It was just more casual things, but it just feels bad to tell somebody you're coming and then you fuck it up, right? Oversleeping on a nap or, whatever. And then feeling bad because I've just been behind on a video edit for somebody who's like, hey, did you want to make this video edit? I'm like, yes, I do. And then it's been like 5 days or something. And it's like, damn it. I wish I could have given them their 20-30 minute video by now. But I just, a lot of little things. So like these little pressures on top of little like inconveniences on top of, and it's all just fucking nothing, right? The person with everything could still find a reason to be depressed, which is why depression is not necessarily about Depression Olympics. It's more about imbalances and things, but whatever. When it feels bad, it feels bad. Also, taking your medicine, always good, right? It's always a good thing to add into the mix and to not fuck up. Hopefully, there were some very slight issues with the gate snapping closed a little bit too early before, so hopefully it's better. We'll see. Right, my drop frames. I need to go back into here and set up my device and then like go live on the video. I think this might help it not fuck up. Let's see. I noticed, because a long time ago, total side tangent, but it helps me. My 3D printer is routable into my shit. And when this video feed was not set up right, it just like constantly looks at it every like however many seconds, and it just drops one frame when it's trying to get it. So that's one of those things. So it's nice that it's working properly. But I got the video edit. I fucking pushed through it. Kara helped me work through some of my writer's block, and we kind of like we pounded that fucker out. It's not officially done, but it's done enough to go, hey, person who wants it, is this what you're thinking? Because that's one of the things that I can struggle with is executive decision. Who doesn't struggle with that, right? Like when I was working in the TV production person, I was the guy who was just moving the camera, and I could offer up a shot by moving a camera somewhere, and so the director might be like, oh wow, what a great shot, I'll take it. Or they'd be like, give me this camera on this shot, and I go, yes sir, and I move it, right? I'm there to execute, I'm just a little fucking soldier. But if I ever sat in the director's chair, I would just be like, I guess we're fine. I wouldn't be telling anybody to move anything anywhere, right? It would be one of those, like, other than directly trying to follow the action, when it comes to, like, spicing it up or doing something, I'm not used to having to make the decision, whatever. I don't know. So having Kara there with me just kind of helped me really get down to the idea based off of the small guidance I was given and then going through it. And again, more of a me problem than anything else, but I feel like I've caught up on a lot of things, which is good. I guess it also, perhaps just thinking out loud, it might be more difficult for me because like I'm editing videos for Cinemarxism, and it was about the DSA convention, and Cinemarxism is interviewing another creator named OG Black Redguard, or just Black Redguard, who's like a Maoist, and Cinemarxism is like an anarchist kind of. And I'm over here like just like I just want the government to do stuff, you know what I mean? So like sometimes they are more extreme or more left than I am, and it's weird to edit because I don't want to like avoid their takes. I want to properly represent their thoughts. Yeah, I'm a Mewist. And they do seem very, you know, obviously, but like, you know, they just, they'll, you know, say that Zoran is too pro cop or something. And I'm just like, I feel like Zoran's pretty good, you know, but they have their reasons and they have their basis. And, you know, Cinemarxism has done 10,000 times more mutual aid and direct action than I've ever done. And obviously, Black Redguard has been involved in this stuff again significantly longer, done way more things than I have, and is also like I could see behind him a gigantic stack of books. This motherfucker's read, you know what I mean? So like, there's lots of things that I'm out of my league. So it doesn't come as natural sometimes when these things I feel out of my depth with dealing with things. I don't know what to cut, what not to cut. Is another layer of it, I suppose. But like, I do feel more comfortable doing the silly edits, similar to the Carter videos that we did before, than doing these like really specific in-depth things, because without direction, I'm sort of lost, I guess, when it comes to deciding stuff. I don't know. But regardless, ignoring all that, it seems like connecting the video feed has fixed that drop frame issue. What's some bullshit that we can print that would be fun? Is there any weird shit that you can think of? I mean, obviously, there's going to be like insanely awesome things. Maybe I should go through some of my. Also, anything cool to print would take hours, so that also probably wouldn't happen immediately. I do lots of stuff like this, which is kind of cute, where it's very similar to like a Warhammer 40k sprue, where it's like it's designed to be 2D and flat. Let's print some comics. We might be able to do something like that. But it's designed so that way you snip it out yourself and then you can assemble it. So it's like a gift. You can put it in a little box and you can give it to somebody and then like, oh look, it's an X-wing thing that you can design. And there's all kinds of little trucks or airplanes or, you know, obviously nerd stuff. Single slot snap bottom storage box. Weird. It all folds up. That's kind of crazy. You got a Shrek fridge magnet with swinging legs. Great, wonderful. Every home kit shouldn't go without it. What the fuck? Yeah, people go crazy with the GIFs, the GIFs. These are all free models too, which is sick. There are places where you can buy models, which is also kind of sick, I guess, technically, because some people deserve to have their shit. They put a lot of work into it, but also I also love an open source free community as well. This is kind of like comic book. Not really, though. It's just like a key holder. How many keys? How many keys do you have in total on your keychain? Obviously, you know, nothing specific, but like, oops, I put a bracket on that. Ooh, we got the Booba version or the regular version. That's not bad, girl. You used to have one key, but now you have no keys? What do you mean no keys? That's like no car, no front door. Like you only had one. That's wild. Wait, what the hell is this? How is this that woman? Female bust? Anyway, AI looking ass shit. Is this? There must have been like the fucking, I suppose, like the 19 40s Batwoman. Weird. I guess I. What's Hevo Forge? Okay, wow. Probably. I feel like Batwoman would wear more clothes. Just going on a limb. This is Batgirl. Or you mean this one here is Batgirl? Oh, I see. Batgirl. You're right. Yeah. Right. Even from this, like, there's some lack of clothing. Yeah. What is this? Oh, it's like a phone cover? Interesting. Kind of a cool design, honestly. Not that I have this exact phone, but, you know, it's just like, wow. It's kind of cool. Printing busts is probably better done with resin. Yellow, purple, or black. Woman is red. Oh, okay. What is this one? I mean, this better be woman, just because she's fully matured. You know what I mean? Like, that's. Look out, you know. I know. That's what I'm saying. It's like, what the? That better be a woman. If that's a girl, you know, these people are deranged. They're deranged. They should not be. Sexy Batwoman statue. I want a statue of Batwoman, but it needs to be sexy. I mean, I don't want to be like, you know, the horny police and overly against something. Who the hell is BB? This looks very cartoonish. This must be like, I don't know, League of Legends or some shit. In Brawl Stars. Yeah, that's something random. Wow, you can have a really uncomfortable ring you can wear. Crazy. What is this? 1966. Boobs boobily. I'm just. What the? I'm curious what this shit is. This is me blurring it, by the way, in case you're confused. I'm just worried that when I download this fucking thing, it's gonna like. What? I'm logged in. It's gonna be like titties or some shit, like exposed titties. So I'm just like blurring it ahead of time, and then I'm logging into a thing. Do you want to synchronize them? Yes. Maybe I have to go out and back in. You son of a bitch! I'm logged in. I'm literally logged in. Ah, here we go. What? Okay, I'll blur now for now while we figure this shit out. Oh, now I have to redo. Okay, whatever. Batwoman, one word. Scroll. I want to see that face. What is this? Bat. There we go. Download. Why do they want me to log in? I'm already logged in. How about no this time? Okay, normally this shit works. Fuck it. Batwoman. That's cute. That's kind of cute. I mean, we are evolving past bat-gendered bathrooms, but it's still cute. Also, let me throw in my fucking... Why didn't... Okay, there it goes. I was like, why didn't the Greg come through? Which mask? This one up here? Yeah. I'll leave that open in the new tab. Sometimes with masks or whatever, sometimes the sizing can be a little annoying because you got to make sure that you get a good size on something. I've tried a few different simple hacks in order to get a really good rubric for something. These are all just regular Batman shit. That one said nerd. Nerd. This one looks horrifying. This one doesn't look right. What in the world is the Batman who laughs? Oh, that's like the Joker Batman shit. Oh. Okay. Thingiverse is running out of incredibly flashy things on the first page. What the fuck? Grumpy Batman. You know what? It looks grumpy. You gotta be edgy. Hold on. This was cute. I like this. This has nothing to do with Batman, by the way, but I love these little, like, Buddha things. It's just dumb. It's dumb as hell, but I think it's great. Oh, wow. Avenger Buddha. Zoidberg Buddha probably is the best fit, honestly, out of all of those. There must be like a, oh yeah, there must be a Batman in there. There we go. That doesn't make any sense. That looks totally wrong. I don't approve. I just thought it was cute for a second. Okay, let's try 3D, is it? I'll just... Why take so long? Why take so long? Oh, here we go. Why is the sign-in option not coming up? Oh, here we go. Click. Loading. There's a little bar up here, slowly moving. I know, clearly. Maybe they all get flagged not safe for work, and that's the issue. Too many fans. Okay, I think I've logged in. Yes. Batwoman. One word. Okay, significantly more options, but there's also paid stuff. Some of them are just little like this is something crazy, you know. Cost $10 to download the files for this one. But it's like a whole thing. All the different pieces, how it breaks down, you know. And also some things are built for FDM and some things are built for resin. So some are like the spool with a little thing out of it, and some are case in point. Oh, that one's $20. They know what they're getting. This is Catwoman. You can't fool me. Not a lot of results, surprisingly. What the fuck? Why is that head so big? Good God. Obviously AI. Huh. Batgirl from like Beyond or something, maybe? Oh, girl versus woman. Not enough very specific type of nerds that then upload things to the internet fans. What is this? Is this a leg section? It must be a part of the whole thing. Yeah, here we go. Interesting choice to... Sure. The baseball anime episode. The mouth is covered Cassandra Cain, Batgirl. This one, it doesn't look not safe for work. Which Batgirl is this? Or Batwoman, sorry. That's Barbara. There you go. I'd recognize that sternum anywhere. That's Batgirl. Gotcha. I'm gonna guess this one is. It says woman, but it looks like a Batgirl costume to me. This is a very simplistic design. I'll be honest. The mask does it. They gotcha. I guess I was joking with my whole. This seems like it's anatomically oriented. It's darkened, so I guess it's not. It just seems like it's too much of like the Dark Knight Returns, like mechanized Batman. I have not recognized that style, but then again, who knows, right? There's a bajillion different subcomics out there. Okay, and that's supposed to be the safe results. Other than the mask, I guess there wasn't too much that jumped out at us. I don't know what else I was expecting, honestly. It's a great question. Maybe it's tactically there to allow room to compensate for when the nipples might naturally need room to exist. So instead of them being compromised. Yes. I find that I have begun to hate many fans of whenever I enjoy something, generally speaking, it's the fans that make me go, I don't want to like this anymore. Simple example, Rick and Morty. I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. My dad liked it, whatever, right? But then it got to be like, if I try and explain the fandom to somebody, they're like, oh, you mean you need to have a high IQ, right? Like they've already dealt with so many people that are in that method, and it's like, no, we're not like, Pickle Rick was the funniest thing I've ever seen. It's just one of those, like, and I guess also it can kind of like, it's too much of a mirror. Like, you have your own inadequacies, you have your own imperfections, and then when it's reflected back at you at the worst way possible, it really is unsettling. When I was in my literature class at college, when I was still at FSU before I transferred back down, really interesting person, whatever, said I did a good job writing, but I never really pursued it because I am a lazy fuck. And also, maybe they're just being nice and encouraging. I would sit in this class, and they would do roll call every day, whatever, go down the rows, kind of a regular sized classroom, despite being a college class, because it was one of the smaller, whatever kind of subsections or something. And a few different people would sit around me, but one person that would sit near me was a dude with like long unkept hair and would always wear like a Full Metal Alchemist t-shirt with like a trench coat, a big weeb, right? Just a big 6 foot plus chubby weeb. Long story short, halfway through the semester, teacher's going through roll call and calls out the weeb's name, halfway looks up for a second, looks at me and goes, oh, there you are. And I'm like, no, I'm not him. I'm not him. Wait, what? Hold on, wait, what? Why did you think, why did you, what? And I was just like, oh no. I mean, I don't wear trench coats. I didn't have, anime t-shirts, but I'm just like, oh God. Oh no. Like to the passerby, I fit a type. You know what I mean? I was just like, shit. And I'm pretty sure I had long hair, so like a big dude, long hair, sitting in the same row. totally understandable, but I did like to. It was one of those like. It was one of those moments where I'm like, oh no. My mother said I was handsome, you know. It's just one of those like not What in the world? Oh, like a board game. Wow, what a great cable saver. Batman card wallet. Now we're talking. Man, Batman is one of the most like generic ass fucking enjoyed heroes, isn't it? Batman cookie maker. I would say probably even more than Superman, Batman is enjoyed. Both because it happens to have more successful media output. The cartoon series for Batman is apparently really good. The movie, Nolan, you know, whatever. I mean, I guess from an outside perspective, not a bad starter superhero to kind of get into superheroes or whatever. Obviously, not actually that super, other than just very committed, right? But it's classic. You'll be able to talk to somebody about it at parties. You know, it's not like, wait a minute, you know, like I guess nowadays, like liking Moon Knight or something is not considered niche, but it's like there's lots of different niche ones that you talk about and no one ever know. Yeah, I mean, well, like, you know, a crime fighter that fights crime, but not the systemic issues that cause crime. It's always going to have a conservative lean, right? You should have known better than to rob the bank, you son of a bitch. And it's like, well, look around, man. Like, we're fucking fucked. You know what I mean? Stephanie Brown, is that a niche character? Or Batgirl 3? Okay. I feel like there was a couple other places that you could go to find models, but... Oh, interesting. The Robin in that one, the one Batman graphic novel, Batman specific graphic novel, Rise of the Dark Knight or The Dark Knight Returns or some shit. The one that has the weirdly drawn, fat, sketchy kind of Batman, very thick. He's older. Takes place in the Reagan era specifically. The Robin in that was like a short-haired girl, but still a Robin in a sense. Maybe that thing's just being weird. Let's pick something that's not... What is HueForge? Print at 1% infill at height of this. Is it just one... Is it like a picture? Like a 2D picture that they print with different texture? I don't understand. She's not canon. Whoa. That's rough. Being a non-canon Batwoman. I don't really want a, what's it called? This is a Batgirl. Yeah, I was gonna say that's girl. I wouldn't want a tryptophobia where it's like fear of holes mask for some reason. I just wanted to like click on one. The cars. I just wanted to try and download one without it seeing if it was gonna make me log in. Maybe I just need to close and open it again. The classic. Wait, cancel. This. Actually, I'll do the thing. I'll do one better. we'll go through the steps that it asked me to do. Because maybe that's important. Yes. What is that video? I saved this video for a reason. I gotta remember what it is. Oh, applause. USA Con A R22 A1. I try my best to be as organized with my files as I can whenever doing my video editing stuff, because that is an issue whenever you go back to edit something and it doesn't work. Have I been sitting on this one shot the entire time without realizing it? Fuck. Or maybe I switched when I started installing, like a smart person. Oh, sorry. Carrie Kelly was a Robin you were talking about. Sure. Loading. Downloading network plugin. Okay. Let me make sure I don't, because right now I've noticed a few drop frames again. Let me go back into here. Sure. Reset. I think we're good. Roger that. Let's go, Robin. The classic Robin fit. When I was a little child, I dressed as a Robin similar to this. And I was blonde when I was a child. Didn't have long hair, but... Dude. Like, she's got incredible fucking abs and torpedoes. It's got to be difficult to manage. It looks like every artist draws them differently. 5 reasons Stephanie Brown is the best female Robin, and why 5 and 5 why it's Carrie Kelly. Yeah. What is this? Is this Bat Boy or Bat Woman? I can't. Bat Adolescent? I don't know. Is this French? It's a clickbait titles, right? So it's like the reason why that, but actually why it would have been that if it could have been, but it's not or something. Yeah, yeah. What's real anyway? What's real? Okay, let's see. Did the signing in work this time? I'm signed in. Online. I feel like people would notice Batman. Like, Batman, you're 100 pounds smaller. Batman. What happened? Your gains, Batman. Robin 5, aka... Oh, wait. Not... Batgirl 3, Stephanie Brown. But Robin 5 must also be a lady. Or be a birthing person. Oh, yeah, I was looking for... I misspelled woman. But I wonder if I put that woman with a space, if it comes up more different results. It looks like there's just more incorrect results, just more women results. No, yeah. Stephanie Brown was also Robin 4 or Batgirl 3. But Robin 5 must also be... If it's Robin 5 / Batman's child, unless Batman's a woman, you know what I mean? Like, or a birthing person. One of them has to be. Oh, that's the end of the song for some reason. Bat. I get it. Let's see if these download now that I'm signed in. What were we looking to download? It was something. It may have been the booby one, I forget. Now it looks different. Wait, why is it different now? Is it just because I have like the window wider or something? No? Oh, I wanted to download something to see what it was. If it was 2D or not, but it wouldn't even let me download it. Oh, that's right. It was the weird face. It was like the 60s face, which I don't see on the list anymore. Oh, there it is. I want to see what this is. But you can't download and open anymore? Oh, you can. That one just doesn't download and open because whatever. Wait, where did I download that to? Download it here. Perfect. Extract. What the hell is this? Okay. It's just a face. I don't know what I was expecting. But that is a three-dimensional, like, auto-generated 3D shape of a 2D thing, I think. That's why it looks a little bit like a potato, kind of. Horrifying. Oh, right in the delete folder. Oh, so Robin is lower. I guess a Robin is not a bat tier, right? So that seems fair. My money. I also get this snap captions opened up as well. Wow, that's taking longer than I thought to open. Weird. It's not that big. I guess it was just something slowing it down. What's the oldest? I don't know if you ever played on consoles, because I guess you don't really. A, you're much younger. B, you only had one key. So I don't know if you ever played a video game on a console before, but I was curious what the oldest console you've ever used is. I wonder why this is lagging out so bad. I wonder what's taking the resources to do it. Surely it's not streaming. I just undid something else. Mission accomplished. Oof. Okay, that might be pretty fucking old. I never used the Jaguar before, so. Wait, another one of these? What is up with all these scans of this lady? Okay, I'm worried someone's fixating on this person. I believe the NES came out first, yeah. Nintendo Entertainment System. Like, it wasn't obviously the first. There was like the Ataris and, you know, a bunch of other, you know, some real OGs will tell you, you know, the whole fucking, and then they go into the Japanese releases, which are separate than the American release, you know, but for me, easy peasy, no worries. It's easy. It's the NES is the first I ever touched. And also that to me is one of the first ones that was sold and released to the public. Obviously, there were a few others, but even before I was born, there were a few others. But for the most part, that was kind of a not a normal thing. Super Batman with gun. Batgirls. This one looks very modern in the sense that, you know, almost like a Raven, but purple. And then this one's very like, I'm the knight. And then this other one is just like, I guess now the computer one, right? The paralyzed one, just guessing based off of computer glasses and professional, casual, semi-professional clothing, whatever. Business casual, that's the word I'm looking for. None of these designs are jumping out at me. Making the mask, I guess, would be one thing, but right. All these cost money. What are the free ones? Batgirl. Some weird AI shit. Very specific. Dark Knight. 89, 97, 66. What a wild Batman. Wow. 95 and also 95. Val Kilmer and Val Kilmer. Wait, how can they both be? Whatever. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Kind of like these. Yay. Light switch. Interesting. What was your favorite was Stephanie Brown. I think I misspelled Stephanie. It was like squiggly. Oh, and it didn't capitalize it? Is the issue? Spoiler. Arkham Knight. What? How's that a spoiler? Oh, no. We immediately lost the plot. There was one just regular Batgirl logo coaster, and then immediately went into just Snoopy and anime and Scarlett Johansson, Bart Simpson, just completely like gave up on the topic. Oh, got you. I thought it was like, look out, guys, there's a spoiler here. What are the things that I saved? Just take a look at stuff. Private. I downloaded that one. That's gonna be there forever. Let's look at the, I don't know, default. It's a fair point. What are some stupid things? If you don't want to actually roll dice, you can use a spinning clicker to give you a dice result. Something silly. a fidget making noise toy, an alien face hugger. That kind of works with the alien movie, whatever, or the TV show. That might be bad, but might be good. Heard good things, heard bad things. Cat combing thing, cable holder, a stupid little cyberpunk mantis blade for your finger for no reason. A brain, just for brain enthusiasts, comes in pieces. There's definitely some lightsaber stuff. One of the lightsaber things that we printed actually was I forget where we put them, but you know those like very classic Bic pens that are like blue or red. It's this little silver handle instead of the cap. You take the cap off and it looks like a little lightsaber. They're cute. Hyper realistic vampire skull. I have an issue with hyper realistic and then vampire skull, but I get what they're getting at because it looks. Show me a lightsaber you can say whose it is. Oh, interesting. Oh yeah, I printed one of these. This is a thing that's like, oh look, you've earned however many million watch hours on Twitch, and I printed one out to have 5,000 watch hours I think in total because of my account age or whatever. But it was just like, yes, I also have earned this totally. Like it got shipped to me as like a joke. Online models. Makers left? No, online models. Oh, return. Lightsaber. Now we're cooking. Boom. Well, this says their name already. That says their name too. Fuck. Okay, that one's pretty. Oh, this is what it was. This is what I was talking about. Those cute, those like little basic pens that you kind of see for free all over the place at banks and shit. It's just a little cap to make it look like a lightsaber. I thought it was cute. Okay. It makes sense that they would put the name of whichever one. Kind of like a Lego saber, kind of, yeah. Everyone starts off with the name of the person's lightsaber. Yeah, this one. This one doesn't say which one it is. Which one is it? It probably is too generic to be anybody's, honestly. We were looking at this one, and I think up here it shows. That's probably what it's supposed to be based off of, yeah. That's a cool one, the Count Dooku one. Ooh. Yeah, some are definitely more detailed than others. Fair. It is kind of small. And I could even, like, blur if I was that worried about it. And then pull it up. Oh, fuck. You can't make out the text. Of course, to make it bigger, you can. What do you know? Yeah. You're right. I mean, even if you couldn't read it, you are right. Okay, this one I've never even heard of before. Yeah. Good luck. I'm guessing this is like from cartoon series. Or some of the more distant, less like movie-based ones. I'm guessing. Which is probably not fair, depending upon the different media you've consumed and or... I don't know who that is. It was released. The model was made in May 2025. That might make that helpful. It's Shinhatis. Your guess is as good as mine. Let's see. Hopefully this one is not too weird of a name. Oh, that other one was? Or this one is? I guess if past tense would be. Egan Guerrers. Don't know. Let's take a look at my other ones again. I don't think I have any lightsabers in here, to be fair. And if I did, it would be like one of the more bitch-made basic ones. Like, oh, look, it's Obi-Wan or Luke Skywalker. Some of the cosplay things could be fun to print. Ew. I printed out a big CSGO sniper from the ACOG thing before. That was kind of a lot, and then it eventually fell somewhere and it exploded a bunch. I could like probably fix it, but yeah, I did. I did go for the niche one just because, I mean, like, you already knew. I assume you had no problem finding the Vader or whatever it is. And also, all the first ones were just spoiled immediately by the names being everywhere. So then I just had to scroll down, and that's what then came into the niche categories. There's not that much in here that's like sparking joy for me. I mean, like, printing out a helmet is always cool, just because helmets are fucking big and cool pieces to, you know, have around or whatever. But they're a little a lot, and my printer's just slightly too small to make them in like one piece, at least for my big ass head. This is the crazy section that makes, like, you can just print out, oh look, you can just print out a fucking violin. Like, what the fuck? Like, they work and everything. That's kind of insane. You just need to buy the actual strings or whatever. And you probably have to make your own, or, you know, buy a bow, but yeah. Huh. This is like a little mini tabletop pinball machine, which I think is also kind of an insane make. Just like the slack rubber bands, though. Like, I feel like, come on, man, you got to make something better than that. But still, impressive. These arcade machines are cool, but I cannot stand the color scheme they did. It's like Dazzle camo. It just gives me fucking anxiety looking at it. It's just it's too hyphened up. Yeah. One day it'd be cool for me to get into like how to do electrical engineering a little bit more, understanding how to utilize a Raspberry Pi or something similar, and feeling comfortable coding it, soldering it comfortably. Like the soldering skills I have are so basic, they're basically non-existent. So that's always been one of those, like, one day I'll get into that shit. I like to get into it more. Another one of these, like, just mini arcade where you make a thing of a size and then you can put, a fucking monitor that then runs a Raspberry Pi in it, and if you wanted to do a full emulator thing. Based off of your knowledge, it does seem like it would be. This was an idea I had for the GIFs as well, especially for like kids or something. You print out a rock and then you have to pick away at all the loose plastic to reveal a fossil underneath. It's like a fossil extractor. Again, not the best gift ever, but something. It was just one of those cute ideas. And then, oh yeah, this one. These are you don't need to have the automated color selector, but these are all plastic cards. A full tarot card deck, 3D printed. That's kind of crazy. Must take forever to do like all the individual cards or whatever, but I think it's kind of sick. And you would just need like however many of the weird bone colors and black. Would make it hard to shuffle a bunch of plastic cards, but I think it's cool. This was just a very small roulette machine that works with very tiny poker chips, very tiny roulette balls, everything. It's needlessly complex. This is a cat, motorized litter box that you can just print entirely from scratch. I guess you would need to buy some motors or something, but still, kind of nuts. What's something else I have? But none of the things are sparking joy to be like, I really want to print this now. That's the sad thing about this. It's one of those, like, you just have everything available to you on Netflix and you don't want to watch anything or whatever. Same idea. Just things that all seem vaguely useful, but then never actually do. Whatever. Oh hum. Does he use dice specifically? I guess he does. The back. Cheat dice. 35% chance to land. They actually cheat. Wait, you can actually... There's actually a game you play with these? I guess there would be a game, obviously, from this show, but I see all these like little coaster-looking coin point things or whatever. It must be like a gamble thing. That's funny. That they got swept into the garbage can and everybody assumed everybody else stole them. I do love things like this. Just like special, like whenever there's a game, people will make 3D printed gaming aids that go along with it to just kind of like make things nice, help them fit into the box again, like a little grid, or, you know, like a tray for your card so that way the dice fit right into the slots or whatever. Dominoes. I had a friend who played dominoes. He was Cuban, or is Cuban. And he could play it so well that he knew exactly what dominoes I had in my hand. And I'm like, how the fuck could you possibly know? But they knew the game and I didn't. Oh, that reminds me. Hold on. Because you've done D&D stuff. There was a, I probably should have put this in the crazy category as well, but, oh yeah, stupid gaming computer. This is something separate. This is like a little like Magic the Gathering tome that holds your commander deck and pens and tokens and cards with like things that you can like hand draw stuff on in case you need something weird for the game. I thought it was a very neat little, thematic invention. Some card storage stuff from my friend who does card stuff. But there was one. Wait, did it get taken down? Oh no! I should have. Oh no, it's right here. It's a chest of superior tracking, dwarven theme for Dungeons and Dragons. So it's this little thing that opens up, and it's got one side that has like your tracking for all of your currencies, your spell slots, ammo, DC, attack modifier, exhaustion counters. And then it has your HP, temporary HP, your AC, all the little like character sheet stats, basically. How many death saves you've gone through, successes and fails. Sure. I placed the whole the different types of different qualities along with a little notebook and a pen. But I just thought it was, for somebody that did play D&D, it'd be kind of a cool thing. Just, even if they never used it, they'd be like, this is nice. I like this. But yeah. And if you played nowadays, I assume you played digitally because that's a way easier way to deal with all that shit. One of our friends is a baby. We were thinking about printing out some baby stuff. Yeah, I tried printing out my logo. Didn't really come out very well. Just because I printed it all in one color. This is the Power Fist thing. Let's see, this might crash just a little bit as it loads. This is a big file. I'm still moving. I'm alive. Any second now it's going to load. It says not responding. I know it's responding. My computer's just expecting more out of it. Any my face is getting all twisted. Oh yeah, I can print out like one of the finger things that I think that kind of snapped a little bit. Which one was that? It was like A2, A1. That's the one that goes into the thumb. This must be A2. Yeah, next biggest one. Okay, so make a new plate. Paste in the model. Ta-da. There it is. Print it out for the fucking third time because I keep snapping it trying to install it. Yeah, so that's the base hand. That's like a part of the wrist. That's the lower part of the same wrist. The back armor of one side, the back armor of the other side. The screws and little things that work. The finger gears, all the finger pieces, and then all the finger gears and internals. And then this was a plate of all the different like reusable parts. So little like trigger releases, printing out 2 of those. The other release, printing 2 of those, just in case like after using them a bunch, they get bent up too much or break or whatever. Just for that way, my brother has extras. And then all these pieces are like supposed to be the springs for the fingers. Just a piece of straight plastic that wants to be straight, so that when you let go of the finger it goes back straight. But the plastic ones aren't nearly as good as buying the metal ones that actually have strength to them and generally don't deform and bend over time. And then a bunch of different, like, I'm trying to reprint a few busted pieces here and there, but I'll just print out this finger that I need to print anyway. And I can always print that other screw thing later. Might as well. Okay, so I'll slice the plate. This might also do another mini. I guess it wasn't too hard for it to do. And it's neat because basically whenever the model exists, the model is something, right? It's got walls, it's got 3-dimensional shapes, but basically it is just whatever a 3D shape is. You can even be a model from a video game, whatever, as long as a model file is a model, it is what it is. And then when the 3D printer decides to actually print it, it goes into the slicing, where it just literally prints out one layer at a time, and then it kind of creates the entire object. And then how it decides how to like crisscross in the inside parts is all about the settings for infill, as in the inside fill, how thick the walls are, all the different little mini. There's a bajillion settings for a 3D printer, but actually, you mean like the actually, like there's probably a game that they title called actually, right? That sounds familiar. Let me spray my plate. What if I wanted to take you with me? How would that work? Let's see. It should just be this, right? Start broadcast, damn it. And then theoretically, SRT works. What's external remote? Unknown connection failed. Oh, okay. Maybe one day I can get that working. That'd be neat, I guess. I don't think that was working right. I don't know why that wasn't working right. Thinking. What have I done wrong? Weird. I don't know why that's not working the way. Unknown connection. Oh, maybe it's because it's going to the wrong place. Maybe this works with it being at home? That's silly. They do nerd trivia and you've been watching it. And every time they got a Star Wars question person. There's one TV show like Revenge of the Nerds or something like that, or Beat the Geeks, I think it was called, on like Comedy Central years and years and years ago. Nope, that didn't work either. Maybe I just needed to go back and forth. I'm gonna try one last thing. And I'll look at your clip too. I updated the server.
There does exist pink kryptonite in the comics. One of the strangest things in Superman comics, pink kryptonite makes Superman gay. Isn't
For
that
reals?
the weirdest?
Actually, that's offensive.
Yes, incredibly. I know.
Actually, that's offensive.
I know. There's a reason we're talking about this here.
Yes.
How do they know that?
When Superman is around pink kryptonite, he loses all interest in Lois Lane. He becomes extremely interested in Jimmy Olsen. And then also in some not great sort of stereotypes, he also is very complimentary of Jimmy Olsen, the window treatments that Jimmy Olsen has.
So when was this one written?
Was that
2003?
That's when gay marriage was legalized, wasn't it?
Will and Grace was on the air. Oh my God! What are you talking about?
Wow.
I thought you were gonna
Maybe
say
it was a little later.
Actually, that is enormously offensive.
Oh.
There does exist a pink kryptonite in the
Oh, it's called external remote. I see. You gotta actually, that makes sense. I don't know why this is not working, and I should be able to figure out why properly. Curious. Studio mode. Gotcha. Overlay. All that's supposed to be right. Unless there's some weird setting that's messed up with my router that I didn't set up, because that's a part of the connection setup process. Bummer. This was set up properly before, too. Huh. Maybe I need to like update the app too. Unknown connection failure. Maybe the bonding's having an issue? Let's see. I'm on Wi-Fi. That's good too. I'd be surprised if they wouldn't have one, considering how wide of a fandom there is, and also how many people are nerds, right? Well, do you think that would get you the right answer though, or do you think that would cause because the truth is different than what people might think. Oh shit. 1 second. Abbott. You know, maybe everyone's fantasy is having a slave army. I wish I wasn't a pussy. Allow me to elaborate. I wish I was willing to just sit here and sand my 3D prints and huff all that fucking disgusting plastic. But instead, I'm like, I can't sit here and just do that. That's going to kill me. I'm going to get cancer. I love cats too much. I love that they have added an estimated finish time. Okay. Didn't have a lot of different videos on the docket, but I do have videos on the docket.
India, Jocelyn Brown, going back to the roots of
forget how old this video was. But I never really watched a Hakeem video before, but I've known of Hakeem from a lot of different places. Wait, shouldn't this be? Ah, yes.
Hi there.
Pause. One of the top title. Bam. Socialism is better scientifically. Copying the URL, putting it into our box. That's over here, actually. And using our pin it to chat thing. All right. Hey up. It's a dirty world, and you gotta do the hard thing. Classic bullshit. I mean, I'm not technically allowed to just play it, right? I mean, technically.
Hi there.
But
continuing a series of Socialism's Better Scientifically, a host of videos you should watch for more statistical detail here, let's take another deep look into just how socialism was and is superior, and why. Addendum. This will span a large area, timeframe, and scope of various nations. Use common sense, there's a lot more to say, but time is sadly limited. None of the countries mentioned are by any means perfect, but they managed to achieve significant feats despite economic sanctions, diplomatic vilification, military aggression, civil wars or threats of invasion, and even internal mismanagement. I can go on and on. Before we look at examples of socialist nations increasing living standards, I want to make something clear. All the nations I'll bring up were instrumental in consistently achieving better quality of life outcomes than capitalist ones. And this is according to the World Bank's own data. This is in spite of socialist statistical bureaus documenting unfavorable trends, like rising mortality, while capitalist nations, including the US, underreported critical health metrics. Discrepancies appeared after World War II as socialist states emerging from
I live in a state where we were told to hide the COVID numbers, and then when the public health official made them public, they then sent the fucking police to her house with guns pointed at her children to arrest her or sue her or obtain all of her computers to, silence the data or whatever it was. Oh, hold on. Maybe he'll address it.
From the war, prioritized universal healthcare, literacy campaigns, and attempted to ensure equitable outcomes. For developing nations,
this is in the series of make Sniffin understand the old Soviet stuff more, because all I know is Stalin bad, kind of, but also it was hard. It's different. It's just one of those, like, some of the blank spots I have, right? Everyone has their blind spots. Some people's blind spots are because they're horny and want to, they have a blind spot for something. But I have a blind spot because I just never learned some of this shit beyond, watching Red Dawn, the movie about Russians invading America and then teenagers fighting back.
These policies prove transformative by mitigating their relative poverty in ways capitalist systems can't. There's a whole host of lazy or otherwise incorrect retorts to the
Killed the most Nazis, right? That's one metric.
Above, from false socialist statistics to more esoteric forms of cope, but I've dealt with those in a now ancient video here. The USSR didn't experience the same problems of the US during the Great Depression, mainly because it didn't have private property or a stock exchange, and Soviet citizens didn't have much savings following many years of destabilization efforts and civil war funded by other powers. In the USSR, 1929 was the beginning of the first 5-year plan, when advanced construction and manufacturing methods, assembly lines, and making petroproducts were first introduced en masse. In fact, 56% of investment went into heavy industry. Because of this focus, they directed 70% of iron and steel output and 86% of machinery output into more means of industrial output. These producer goods were, however, only 23% of the total, with the remaining 77% coming from agriculture and light industry, with examples like textiles. This was possible in part because the USSR was able to go from having over 1 million unemployed people, plus hundreds of thousands in seasonal unemployment, and that's only the official figures, to practically none. Back to the video in just a minute. Let's hear from today's sponsor, Proton Mail. Freedom isn't possible without privacy. But in the United States, you're edited fairly, which is much appreciated. Alright, back to the video.
Later, Hakeem, later.
During the first 5-year plan, the number of salaried workers doubled. 3.5 million women entered the workforce at all levels.
Doesn't have the most draw in the young crowd voice. It's a very just the facts sort of execution.
And 8.6 million rural people became employed in industry. Over 5 years, the USSR eradicated unemployment and its underlying causes. A planned labor system now replaced spontaneous migration, training specialists, recruiting rural workers systematically, and improving skills to address full-scale industrialization demands.
Yeah. When they say get rid of all unemployment, I assume it's because everyone works for the country. So everyone has a government job now, whatever that job is. But almost everybody basically was, some, I guess, the communist version of a bureaucrat would just come down and be like, yo, what's up? I would like you to do this job, or maybe even what jobs would you like to do out of these options or something, That makes sense. I'm sure I could delve more into that side of things at some point, but I think everyone I talk to is like, yeah, monarchies are not the way forward, so.
The many decaying local industrial bases, from the US to Europe, and the many that never got off the ground because of colonialism and IMF restructuring in Bangladesh to Kenya, would greatly benefit from this mass mobilization of workers into active and productive labor, resulting in tremendous economic and social gains.
Like when I think of this time, I was told that like they weren't allowed to have blue jeans and denim was like the sought after precious commodity that they would covet. And then that's what led, along with many other things, but that's what eventually led Gorbachev to be like, look, I can get us Pizza Huts. And everybody wanted the same treats that the treat economy gave people in America. Make Trump king, why not? You know what? That could come back, yeah.
The reason it isn't done in capitalist countries is because full employment shifts bargaining power to the workers when agitating for better conditions. Which is why the reserve army of labor and perpetual unemployment is a thing under capitalism. Watch my 101 videos for more.
I wonder if they actually, what the fuck? I wonder if they actually are that laid out with their plans, or if it's just one of those, a combination of the market likes to have a certain amount, but not so much as like a full-on dedication. I'm not opposed to thinking that they're evil and I hate them. I have my Luigi guy nearby. It's all, that's what I was. I mean, that's what I was told. Yeah. it's like Footloose, the movie with what's his name, some old guy.
Or if you're interested. Socialist countries' ability to withstand crises is compelling, but they also must meet people's daily needs. And while price controls get a bad rap in mainstream media, they are a major tool of a larger needs-based approach that actually works, and counter to the World Bank's profit-driven method for alleviating poverty. It works so well that when push comes to shove, the
profit-driven motive to end poverty just seems like an oxymoron, right?
The United States economy also applies them. Price controls in planned economies aren't really controls per se, though. Countries like Vietnam have subsidized goods on the market at times instead. So there's a range of what has been historically done. Likewise, there are price controls under capitalism. They're just set to higher than what most people are comfortable paying for the interests of profit, of course. In the same vein, rationing also exists in capitalist countries, but that's a conversation for another day. Let's look at some price controls in action to see how they work. Starting with Vietnam's strict control over rice, accounting for at least 75% of Vietnamese people's caloric intake. Prices are set on the producer side, allowing the government to keep prices low and raise money by the buying and selling of rice. This comfortable control allows for protections from major shocks like natural disasters, market shifts, or the sudden emergence of new technologies. In Singapore,
so the rice is priced by the suppliers, aka the growers, right? And the sellers is the supplier, versus what? The grocery sellers or the customer buyers? That sounds like a profit-seeking's ideal dream of setting the prices as the one that grows and manufactures them. So some of this is going over my head. I'm going to play it just to make sure.
These aren't really controls per se, though. Countries like Vietnam have subsidized goods on the market at times instead. So there's a range of what has been historically done. Likewise, there are price controls under capitalism. They're just set to higher than what
Murder-driven motive to end killing.
most people are comfortable paying for the interests of profit, of course. In the same vein, rationing also exists in capitalist countries.
I mean, rationing was definitely done during World War II, I know, for a great example. And then there was the gas shortage of the whatever Carter years that was bad for them, but and then like masks were limited at one point during COVID, or toilet paper was rationed. Like, it's just one of those, or like, you know, gas is rationed technically during hurricanes around here. They're not mass rationings or long-term rationings in comparison to others, but yeah. We also do that water lawn. You know, there's some issues about that.
But that's a conversation for another day. Let's look at some price controls in action to see how they work. Starting with Vietnam's strict control over rice, accounting for at least 75% of Vietnamese people's caloric intake. Prices are set on the producer side, allowing the government to keep prices low and raise money by the
Prices are set at the producer side, the people that produce the rice. Other than middlemen being able to jack up the prices, I suppose. So then the producers tell the middlemen how much they're allowed to increase it, or the government just buys the rice straight from the producer to then give to the people. I'm not really, there's a lot of like, I'm unsure how these things work.
buying and selling rice. This comfortable control allows for protections from major shocks like natural disasters, market shifts, or the sudden emergence of new technologies. In Singapore, not a socialist country, similar procedures helped control housing prices, which made housing much more affordable, allowing for social stability. India, also not a socialist nation, used price controls for medicine, making it available to a massive proportion of the population. They set maximum selling prices, which prevents pharmaceutical companies price gouging.
Right, set the maximum selling price. So put it somewhere near cost with enough to maintain their ability and give them some comfort and some cushion for, you know, unforeseen problems like a bad batch or something, but not let them overdo it in a sense. Or restrict control. Because we have milk producers that go, ah, shucks, we milked too many cows this milking period. Better dump out half these milk containers. Otherwise, we'll shock the market with too much supply and make cheap milk. Egads, right? And they just throw it away. Interesting.
Why does this matter? Well,
also, stuff like vaccines and stuff, like other than like for some very like specific, you know, cosmetic disease or something, like, my acne, you know, I would like a vaccine for acne, please. Like having a not sick population through the small cost of enough vaccines for everybody gives you the benefit of a healthy population, which is an incredibly valuable resource from both an individual's quality of life standpoint, on the idea of the immunocompromised needing the herd immunity side of things, and also just the businesses that want to keep their labor force moving and not all of a sudden having an issue, right? Oh my God, yes. It's just like, and like even, because I was hearing like, all these damn vaccines for free sure is like causing a lot of waste because people don't all need it. But a rebuttal to that I heard was by avoiding a bunch of people going to the hospital, like you have no idea how much material is wasted. Packages of, you know, needle supplies, bed material is being washed and or thrown away and then bought again, masks being used and disposed of, gloves, all these different things that go into, every time there's new people admitted to hospitals, there's a certain amount of waste that's generated in order to keep it clean and sterile. So even though you might give out 1,000 vaccines, if you save 10 people going to the hospital, you end up saving a significant amount of trash just from that. So there's an interesting opportunity cost, even if you are, paying some trash forward in a sense. Like even if you're, and also people's health is worth more important than a small amount of trash, in my opinion. But even with the idea of trash in mind, it's an interesting way to look at it, because you can point at it and say, see, it's bad, Like, look, this guy doing that thing where they just let their nose hang out of their fucking mask. I hate that shit. I got real mad at that shit back in the 20s. But,
Achieving decent living standards globally for 8.5 billion people would only require 30% of current resources and energy use if managed properly. This requires central planning of public services, efficient technology, and industrial development. Profit-first production can't compete because it wasn't even meant to win the efficiency game. It was built for profit. Social systems consistently deliver better physical quality of life and more health professionals per capita because of public investment, planning, and equitable access.
One thing I hear quoted all the time by Central Committee is that women had more orgasms under Soviet socialism than capitalist countries, which is a crazy statistic, which makes you think a lot about a lot of things. I should look that up. Why women have better sex under socialism. According to an anthropologist, a new book argues that women have better sex under socialism. A survey of East and West Germans after reunification in 1990 found that Eastern women, the socialist side of Germany during the Cold War, had twice as many orgasms as Western women. Hachi mama, What in the world accounts for this wide gap? According to so-and-so, it's about social safety nets. She argues you build a society that supports women and doesn't punish them for having children or devaluing their labor. It turns out to be happier and have better sex. Makes sense to me. Yeah, you guess it's bad, actually. No. Oh, my. Oh, it's just the preface or whatever. Well, there you go. And it's even like the same culture, right? It's just like they drew that dotted line down the middle of Germany like it was one of those fucking, odd couple bits or whatever. You stay on this side and I'll stay on this side, Twice as many.
Controls at strategic intervals and on strategic goods or inputs for public interest rather than profit are just one tool here. If we move the conversation to that of planning inputs and organizing production outside of the market, socialist nations did that just as well, if not better, than market systems. And I've discussed this in more detail in my economic calculations video here. Educate yourself. Most of what you've heard about socialism is unsourced sound bites aimed at keeping you ignorant because Amazon and the American weapons industry needs more profit.
I mean, all it would take is one incredibly Giga Chad president to say, Amazon, we are seizing your company. It is now America.com. And it will then be the supplier for all of our shit in America under our, top-down central planning system. Everyone that was currently employed will now be employed by the government. You will see a pay raise and a benefits increase. You're welcome. Are they socialists? Is that unrelated or?
I mentioned earlier that part of the reason for the higher quality of life in socialist states was because they provided their citizens universal healthcare. In the USSR, healthcare was a right and was provided for free. Between 1940 and 1969, the USSR made substantial gains in child height, birth weight, adult height, and infant mortality.
Wow.
4 key indicators of population health and living standards.
Dude, all those manlit incels? Dude, get on this shit. they robbed you of your height. They robbed you of it.
Cuba, too, considered healthcare a human right and provides healthcare to citizens for free while spending 1/20th what the US spends per capita, delivering a longer life expectancy. Cuba practices social medicine that deals with the underlying conditions that lead to poor health, meaning preventive care. Also, rather than waiting for sick people to go to the doctor, which they can do too, nurses walk around assigned districts with equipment in hand, visiting homes to check the health of the inhabitants. Cuba has also launched massive vaccination programs which eliminated polio, tetanus, diphtheria, measles, whooping cough, and rubella, while nearly eradicating typhoid fever and tuberculosis. These campaigns have achieved 99% childhood vaccination coverage, far exceeding the terrifyingly low US rate of 70%. If that wasn't enough,
That's
Cuba's
gotta be going
contribution to
down.
global medical aid is more than all so-called developed nations combined, saving over 2 million people and deploying over 130,000 personnel to 107 countries. All this time, I didn't want
Wait, what was that? Oh, God. I like somehow pulled half of my neck muscle, the one that goes like right behind your ear or whatever, and like down the back of your. It just, fuck, it's so painful. I don't know what I did to it. You know, slept on a pillow wrong or some shit. Fucking first world problem. But it is just so stiff. I tried taking a special medicine. Yeah, I mean, that's always like a joke that I've seen in some different comic shows recently. Fair. Oh, fuck me. Where it's like, how do regular people have sex with super people? Because it's like you're gonna keep it under control, right? You're not just gonna like in a moment of passion like crush me into a fucking pile of dust. You're not gonna rip my arm off or some shit. You know what I mean?
130,000
Oh yeah. Cubans serving personnel in a bunch of nations. Jesus, it's like such a gigantic percentage difference. It's like what, 100%? No. I guess it must be 100%. I don't know. So, only 10% different? 10 times different. I guess that's what I'm thinking of. No, it's like 100 times because there's definitely 3 digits to move, so that's times up. I'm math times 200 times 10 would be 2,000, so it must be 100. Yeah.
personnel.
Yeah, from Teen Titans, the orange lady with the green eyes, who speaks kind of like not like Yoda, but just very stilted, but like with a nice, polite accent, but just sort of like speaks in the third person, kind of not really a third person, but just struggles with the exact connection with the English language comparatively. I don't know how to describe the cadence. Okay. The young adult / just adult Titans. The Titans, I guess you would call them.
To 107 countries. All this time, I didn't once bring up the US embargo, which I'll cover later, despite which they have accomplished almost all of this. This is objectively extremely impressive, and no.
I've heard so much about how impressive Cuba is, and the DSA is doing a trip of people from the DSA to go to Cuba, but they're kind of like letting us know that the place is doing well given how rough it is, but it is rough there. Yeah, okay. Certain amounts of food are, there's food limitations because they only have what they have, and they want to make sure that everyone has enough, and they don't want to have a problem when it comes to, all of a sudden a bad crop or something, whatever. So it's like you keep hearing about how much they're thriving considering the situation, but you don't want to go over there expecting that you can just, pop into a fast food joint and get some food when you feel like it and you can just drink water everywhere you go, whatever. There's a certain things that the DSA was trying to make sure that, because they went on it like the year or the year before, and there were limitations what the group could and couldn't do. And even though there was like planned meals and stuff like that, they were like specifically, this is when you can eat and drink, kind of like comparatively to where you might be, you know, at a theme park or something, and there's just shit everywhere. Or even in a regular city, there's just dispensaries or things that you can just have whenever you need. Which is a shame, considering they don't need to live like that.
No capitalist country has, can, or will accomplish anything similar under similar conditions. Two notable retorts people here are: 1. Social democratic countries have universal healthcare, and 2. North Korean height. Concerning the first, the only reason universal healthcare was developed in those, for example, European countries is because of the threat of communist electoral victory or general influence. Every year, these systems are further gutted, defunded, or privatized from Britain to France and Scandinavia. Any proper and sustained universal healthcare system needs a socialist government which values human life over profits. You can dive deeper into the issues of social democracy here.
Yeah. I just mean, like, after hearing so much about certain things, because people are trying to say, like, because I mean, you're raised to believe it's a hellhole, and people are dying, and it's crime ridden, and you're just taught to believe all the worst things about it, right? So, as a not an overcorrection, but just a correction to that, they talk about all the fucking W's, right? But they're so used to you being educated on all the difficulties. At a certain point, it felt like it must just be as good or better over there. But there are things that are still difficult because of literally global level sanctions crackdown, even though nobody else in the world other than the USA and Israel are voting to do it, and then Ukraine abstains to not piss off America. But even though no one else in the world actually wants to continue, they're not allowed. It's vetoed because the U.S. is one of the founding members or whatever bullshit. And it's like, okay, great.
Regarding the second, well, yes, heights were different from the 90s onwards between the DPRK and South Korea because of malnutrition. Why was there malnutrition in the DPRK? Well, bad timing of weather conditions and drought, coinciding with the disappearance of the DPRK's largest trading partner, the USSR, along with strategic yet broad sanctions by the largest military power to ever exist, aimed at instigating famine and preventing any recovery. These sanctions still harm the DPRK to this day. And this context is never given. I wonder why. Watch my DPRK video for more here.
Bro makes so many other videos. It's crazy.
Another reason for the higher quality.
My fucking loser ass can't make one video. Not even just for somebody else, but just like for myself. I can't write a cohesive script for one video. Too worried about making factual errors and or not making a smooth system.
Quality of life in social states was because they provided their citizens free education, starting with eradicating illiteracy and all the way up to postdoc studies. At the start of the 20th century, under the Tsar, only 22% of Russians were literate. Those in the quote-unquote periphery republics had even worse rates. The state of education in the USSR after World War I and the Civil War was terrible, precisely because it was practically non-existent, a legacy of the Tsarist era. And
I don't wanna.
yet, by 1939, the literacy rate had reached 81%. A couple of decades later, it was basically 100. But they didn't just teach people to read. The literacy program also taught people how to take notes, as well as giving guidance and recommendations on how to and what to read. In pre-revolutionary Cuba, 25% of kids 10 and older never enrolled in school. Another 50% dropped out before graduating from elementary school, and only 20% went on to education beyond primary. The revolutionary tackled this problem immediately. Just 2 years after the revolution, in January of 1961, they launched the National Literacy Campaign, and by summer had a 178,000-strong literacy army of paid teachers whose job was to scour the countryside and rural areas and teach people to read. In just 1 year, 700,000 Cubans were able to read and write at least at a first-grade level, which reduced illiteracy in the country to 3.9%, lower than any other Latin American country.
And I talked to a guy in Havana who says to me,
"Oh, this is Parenti? I've seen so many old speeches that are pretty interesting from this person.
Before, all I used to see here in Havana, you call this drab and dull. We see it as a cleaner city. It's true, you got the paint is peeling off the walls, but you don't see kids begging in the streets anymore. And today, this man is going to night school. He said, I can read. I can read. Do you know what it means to be able to read? Do you know what it means to be able not to read?
Michael Parenti, I think.
Let's look at the unemployment and pension systems in Cuba and Vietnam. Quick note for Americans. In Cuba, a pension is like your social security system. It's for retirement. The amount of their pension...
I'm old enough to know of my uncle and father who have some amount of pension. My uncle has like 2 pensions. He's got it made, and he happened to work at a company at just the right time to get the double pension thing back when he got a fully vetted pension of the first type, and then they started up a new type of pension, and he got that as well. My dad only got like half of the first one or something. I forget what. His brother is like, I don't know, 3 years older or something different, but he started working for the company long before my dad did, just because different life journeys that ultimately took him to the same company.
Pensions is determined based on the average of the 5 highest earning years selected from the previous 15 prior to applying, allowing people to have an average that is up to 90% of their salary. They also have a provision for an extraordinary age pension, added on top of their regular pension, that grants 40% of salary for 20 years of service and 2% added for every year above that. If you're disabled and require assistance to perform daily activities, your pension amounts go up by 20%. Unemployment in Cuba has many worker protections. The subsidy has a floor. It can't be less than 50% of the current minimum wage. If a worker is hospitalized due to an illness or non-work-related accident, they get 50% of the average salary. However, if it's work-related, it goes up to 70%. If this illness or injury doesn't require hospitalization, the allowance is 60%. If it's a work-related illness or accident, they get...
And I think the age of the life expectancy in Cuba is higher than America, or they know America's going down, whatever. So
80%. One of the coolest provisions says that if a worker performs a heroic act, meaning saving lives while on the job or protecting social property from destruction, for example, the amount of the subsidy or pension is increased by 20%, with an upper limit of 90%. In Vietnam,
I'm a little worried about that, just because, like, I mean, obviously, I'm sure it's done in a certain way, but depending upon what that social property is, I would be worried that people are like, egads, save the, the press lift, and then they get crushed along the way trying to save the lift for the society. Yeah. Also, what are you going to do when you're 100? Yeah.
Vietnam workers can expect not only money, but the law requires them to receive consulting and job introduction support, vocational training for new and existing skills, amongst others.
Like, that's the thing, man. Like, there were so many people at my job because they were all getting laid off, and they were kind of bearish on the industry that we are currently in. They had seen the marketplace of a bunch of other engineering and master control places for TV production, broadcast engineering stuff dwindle down and turn into like a few regional hubs instead of like every, one per neighborhood. And the jobs are being automated and also having to do the labor of, a bunch of different people, and the pay is still not very good at all. They were very like, I kind of want to get out of TV, at least in this side of the TV. And they were just thinking about like, but what would it be like I have to go back to school to learn how to be like an ultrasound technician or something that costs a lot of money. And then how do I make things work in the meantime? And the other people I'm working with who are, don't have different, ambitions or whatever, but it's just like, I'm like, you just get to a job, you train at the job, whatever the job is, you should be good, it's just whether or not the job is willing to look you up and down and say, fine, I'll hire you and train you. Which if they have these mentoring programs and, oh, look, you're from the oil fields, we will grab all those, nationalize all those employees, give them the option to come with us, and we will specifically, in the same region, teach them the skills that they need to have this new wage, the same or better, and have a new skill. Because these people are able to do this skill, they should be able to do the next skill. They just need to transition along. Offering that to people is so much better than just, them saying adios.
Of course, nothing is unlimited.
And people can do things. That's how everyone learned everything, is by learning it and being taught it. That's how everything works.
And unemployment benefits aren't allowed to exceed 5 times the minimum wage. But crucially, they can be 5 times the minimum wage, which is still really good. Public transit and walkable spaces tend to greatly improve quality of life. And China might be the best.
Honestly.
As of 2024, public networks served 90% of the urban population.
Like, how many times have there's been a service that exists and then it just gets worse and worse and worse and worse? New technologies emerge, generally from public works, and then companies come in, sweepingly collect up all the market share, and then shitify it. So, like, there's only like one, every like couple of times a generation is there a new wave of ingenuity, but that ingenuity is generally stolen. I know it super does. Again, why I'm not a degrowth guy. I'm not a return to the woods kind of guy. I want to transcend it to fucking, cyberpunk, but instead of punk, it's just cyber chill,
Something no Western country or city can lay claim to. In 2022, their system served 12 billion passengers, showing more people are relying on public transit. Their high-speed rail network, the largest in the world, commands 40,000 kilometers, enough to just about wrap around the Earth's equator. China also has 1.5 million buses serving at least 10 billion people annually. All this public transit has helped China meet climate change.
That's insane. Like, we have 330 million people. That's three times the U.S. population is 1 billion. It's serving 10 billion people. That's every single person times a lot using the bus. Holy fuck.
change goals by reducing emissions by 30%.
I mean, we're so cooked, because even if we get the most based and like trying their hardest to shift the leverage that we have to lean as hard into this style improvement, we'll never catch up. We're already so far behind. Even if we perfectly pivot to trying to match, we won't. Like, the China model for the longest time was watch what somebody else does, make it better. The same way everybody iterates on things. No reason to do what the last guy did, but worse, right? You might as well just like learn from the mistakes of the past, right? The classic. Even if we do that, I don't necessarily think that we'd be able to do significant improvements to get past problems. But, oh wow, when they started their 15-year mass high-speed rail system, they had, if only they knew about this element, they could have shaved a couple of years off. And now we know of it, kind of, because we're, somehow working together or something. I still don't think we'd be able to catch up, even with that additional knowledge. Public transit has significantly reduced carbon emissions, 30% decrease, yeah.
Over the last 5 years, and helps people save 25% of their monthly budget. All of this, obviously, contributes greatly to quality of life, cleaner air, places to go, and ways to get there. It's self-evident that housing is a major component of having a better quality of life, and socialist countries delivered. I have an upcoming video on this, so keep an eye out. In Yugoslavia, they used prefabrication to produce 150,000 high-quality apartments all over the world. Despite being prefabricated, they were designed to give architects the ability to experiment with floor plans and facade designs. Residents enjoyed apartments designed for adaptable living and...
Damn, that's like fucking, I don't know, not Lego, but it's like the 3D printing houses before 3D printing. You just fabricate the individual modular pieces and then just straight up drop them onto each other.
Psychological well-being, featuring long sight lines to windows, abundant natural light, and no cramped spaces. Ironically, these are now considered luxury features, and yet were achieved decades ago, on a huge scale, providing housing for the working class by the working class, especially after a devastating war. In Albania, after World War II, 62,000 homes, or 25% of the total housing stock, was destroyed. Development and planning of new housing was centrally controlled by the state, part of the 5-year plans. One important kind of housing they used was based on a Chinese prefabrication model designed for housing near factories and pumped out to 2,000 apartments per year. Albania was an incredibly poor country in Europe, and still is, and neither was it a good example of socialism, but it managed this much. In Romania, another not that great example of socialism, high-quality mass housing began being built during the 1960s in larger cities, achieving a broad mix of classes amongst residents, like in Albania, with generous green spaces that remain desirable to residents even today. These large-scale developments were a universal form of urban living, with some estates like
Gheorgheni, Cluj,
housing over 30,000,
Good luck.
or
Titan Balta Albă,
planned for a whopping 220,000 residents. At the same time, intensive industrialization and massive rural-urban migration was underway. By the mid-1970s, rural immigrants made up about 75% of residents. This raised peasants' living condition to urban standards, resetting the social structure to one based on worker solidarity and community. Back to Cuba, in the early 90s, following the illegal and undemocratic dissolution of their largest trading partner, the USSR, an agriculture collapse occurred, caused in part by extreme industrial dependency and heavy imports. Around 90% of inputs and 57% of calories were imported. By 1993, Cubans were getting 30% fewer calories in their diet. However, within a mere decade, thanks to state programs, Cuba doubled production and increased caloric availability by 25%. This success came from prioritizing equitable food access over profits, showing that equitable distribution, a requirement of true food security, was possible even for a poor nation under crippling sanctions. Similarly, post-World War II USSR attained food security through rationing, abolished in 1949, while reducing prices and raising wages. Keep in mind, rationing was a thing all across Europe at the time. The 1950s saw annual increases in meat and dairy, vegetable, fish, and sugar consumption in the USSR, alongside decreased bread and potato reliance, the usual indication of rising living standards. It increased to the point that even the CIA admitted, in secret notes of course, that Soviet and American diets are basically not too different. Socialist states have also delivered decisive, large-scale improvements in water access and sanitation. China's state-directed social improvement initiatives require that people have adequate food and clothing, education, healthcare, safe housing, and of course, access to safe drinking water, all of which they provide for over 382 million rural people, and by 2020 achieved 83% tap water coverage in poor areas. Additionally, they invested billions into a successful national toilet revolution, which dramatically improved sanitation for over 95% of villages. As funny as it sounds, getting toilet and sanitation access to hundreds of millions of people over a massive and diverse geographic terrain is no easy feat. That's why India has never managed, but China has. Wow. Similarly, Cuba's revolutionary government addressed pre-revolutionary rural neglect. Only 15% had running water versus 80% in the cities. This was quickly solved by constructing vast housing projects with integrated amenities in both urban and rural communities. In contrast, the World Bank's water schemes imposed on Vietnam made it reliant on private capital, with fragmented results. While serving 180,000 people, 93% of households connected only after substantial subsidies reduced fees, which still left 28,000 households unserved or stuck with systems that malfunctioned within months. I've talked about the US enforcing a trade embargo on Vietnam in my video about why they...
Like seeing how the World Bank was like kind of like descended on them to then force equity in or whatever. And it's just like, man, we do so much. Yeah. We do so much to put a stop to roadblock human success. Like as a self-described humanist or whatever, that is just a crime against humanity. Stepping in to then make things worse on purpose so that way you get more is, in my opinion, a very unhuman thing to do. The same way that like kids will share with one another when one kid is not, fairly, treated. That's human. And then the top behavior is the bullying. maybe not the perfect example, but you get what I'm saying, man. Like, because I know that starvation is pretty rare inside of communities because it's just one of those things that you just don't let happen right in front of your face. Only way it happens in America in comparison would be trying to hide the homeless population away from society, and then they end up starving out of sight because they don't want to see it. Just it just sucks to think about how far we could be and how bad we are currently because of the conscious decision to push themselves ahead by a fraction of a percent, but then to drastically reduce the quality of life for others. A thing I believe they wouldn't be able to do if they looked them in the face, but maybe they would.
They hate the US here, so I'll be light on the details. In short,
I also have heard that Vietnam likes America because Vietnam was recently invaded by other countries before America, and then there's a lot of Amerification of certain things, where it is. But maybe there's, other layers. Obviously, it's not a monolith, all these different things, and information can be a little out of date. Or they like America compared to the original war area, which is different than just straight up liking them.
the US blocked all commercial transactions, including investments and goods with over 10% US content, under threat of severe penalties. This, combined with the US veto on lending by the IMF and the World Bank, prevented Vietnam from getting crucial loans for large-scale infrastructure projects, trade, and attracting investment. Vietnam's access to foreign aid by the late 1980s averaged a mere $75 million annually, so basically nothing. However, the embargo also denied US firms access.
It's hard for me to read the text because I'm illiterate, and also pay attention to the words being said and process it all. Because even listening and reading can be done, but obviously if it doesn't, fucking load into the memory banks, it's kind of pointless.
Which eventually created opportunities for European and Pacific Asian states to secure oil contracts and carve out a market for themselves. The end of the embargo in 1994 resulted in a dramatic economic surge and brought a 6.5-fold increase in foreign aid, while trade doubled from $3.6 billion to $8.2 billion from 1988 to 1993, and foreign investment exploded from $364 million to $11 billion. The US's embargo and sanctions against Vietnam were judged on paper to be an outright failure in achieving their stated policy goals, but they did what they were intended to do.
That's crazy to see that. If you were what country is this? Is that America? That's got to be America, right? That is America. I was thinking this is supposed to be Vietnam. I was like, damn, that's crazy. But that's New York City. But anyway, I was like, wait, I think I recognize some of these buildings. He's talking about the U.S. in this element, which is why it's there. I think I recognize this little blue and then this weird, little triangle kind of shaped thing. And then looking at the shape of the harbor, then going back and then no more buildings. Wait, this is Manhattan. This has got to be, yeah. And it might be, I don't know, Central Park or some shit there, but I would think it would look a little different than that, but still.
Be an outright failure in achieving their stated policy goals. But they did what they were intended to do, to impoverish the Vietnamese population in hopes that they would rise up in arms against their socialist government. That failed, of course. The vast majority of other socialist nations were not allowed the privilege of foreign investment or open trade internationally, resulting in the usually much smaller nations suffering under economic sanctions imposed on them by the US. The idea is that countries on the international stage can either trade with, for example, tiny Cuba, or the United States, the by many factors larger population and economy-wise nation, making the choice a no-brainer to any third party. More on sanctions can be seen on my video covering Cuba here. Despite heavy wartime losses, and what you've likely heard, the Soviet Union achieved rapid post-war recovery in consumer goods production, exceeding pre-war industrial outputs by 1950 through conversion of armament factories to manufacturing consumer goods. Output surged from the 1950s and 60s, especially for clothing items. Leather footwear went from 272 million to 456 million pairs, knitwear from 18 million to 104 million, socks and stockings from 500 million pairs to 1.3 billion over just a few short years.
That's a lot of stockings.
The early 1960s, access to daily necessities was more or less certain for urban and rural people. This enabled further advances. By 1973, ownership of new tech rose, with steadily rising ownership of radios, TVs, refrigerators, and washing machines. It may not have been as high as it would be in a modern Western country now, which does sound restrictive, but you need to realize the sheer backwardness of Tsarist Russia's economy, combined with the Herculean scale of destruction caused by the Civil War and World War II, and also that we're talking almost a century ago. Soviet
Like, them being able to build up all that infrastructure and then supply those commodities to the people in that time period, impressive. But I think about America and what we have. I mean, I guess we have limited amounts of production directly, but I just have a dream of some, almost like a COVID situation where there's like, oh my God, a paradigm shift. We are under a new normal, right? Things are changing so rapidly. We need to make a drastic update to progress ourselves further. So like immediate expulsion of private corporate property. All corporations are now owned by the government. Moving forward, we will central plan all the elements required. Every business owner will have a meeting with the IRS to discuss your business and how it will work for the government instead. And then instead of being profit motive, it is now output motive, efficiency motive. You will have all your goods and needs taken care of as an individual like anybody else. But you have the freedom of your current role. But if you would like to reposition, you can also do that as well. You know, like all of a sudden things just vertically integrating in, you know, for the benefit of us, not the corporation. I have dreams of that because you would have everything at your fingertips that's the same, but then you would immediately cut out all of that wasted profit because it's wasted. It's not like the wages or the costs or whatever. It's just the wasted profit. All of that revenue turns into savings or taxes, one of the, you know, or both. And then you cut down the war. All of a sudden, you've got an incredible amount of money. I mean, it's silly to imagine such a thing. We literally had a situation somewhat similar, but we went the other way around. We threw human lives at the pandemic and said, die for the economy or whatever, which would be heroic under a socialist profit removed system. But instead, it's greedy to die for the profit seeking system.
growth was staggering, despite all of these burdens, something no capitalist nation has replicated, historically or in the modern day. Cuba achieved significant success against COVID-19 despite sanctions. They developed 3 COVID-19 vaccine candidates with over 90% effectiveness, which they administered many millions of doses to its population of just 11 million people. This massive campaign resulted in a vaccination rate of 93%. Vietnam showed the whole world how to properly care for citizens during the height of the pandemic. When Ho Chi Minh City imposed a lockdown, residents received essential goods delivered by military personnel, with separate initiatives for vulnerable.
Literally makes sense, right? Literally makes sense. Hell, I get my groceries delivered. Just, there you go. The system's in place.
Groups, mobilizing 2,000 military.
And you have the most expensive fucking military in the world by a large margin at your disposal.
Medics and 30,000.
Full of a bunch of well-vaccinated, healthy, able-bodied people. They're literally waiting to be commanded.
Militia.
Instead of giving them PTSD, give them fucking hope for another, day in America.
In Duong province provided even more support. Free rice to 720,000 residents in its most affected areas, distributing 5,700 tons of rice and a daily stipend to everybody on top. This isn't even getting into the poverty alleviation bit, which tried lifting an unprecedented 800 million people out of extreme poverty over 40 years. This is close to 75% of the global reduction in extreme poverty, and achieved the UN 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development target 10 years early.
Wow.
One image that comes to most Western minds when price controls come up is the empty shelves meme. Here's a quote from the Economic Times. Empty shelves and job layoffs are warning signs that the US economy could slide into a recession by the summer of 2025. Capitalism causing empty shelves. Who would have thunk? Or during COVID, when shelves stood empty all across the wealthiest nation on earth. Some will retort, but that was during a pandemic. Sure, fine. If that's a good enough excuse for the United States, why isn't industrial sabotage, economic sanctions, and funnily enough, market reforms imposed on formally planned economic systems an excuse for the exceptional and solitary incidents of empty shelves in, for example, the last few years of the USSR? You don't need to answer this. This is just an exercise in critical thinking. No country is perfect, and neither were the historic attempts as well as the current attempts at building socialism. There's tons to criticize, and there's an appetizer on that topic in an earlier video here. The thing is, none of them had the luxury of unimpeded or independent development, the way the United States has and had. It kind of goes back to that old meme. Socialism always fails. That's why the CIA and State Department spends billions cooing, assassinating, invading, sabotaging, isolating, and threatening socialist nations. Watch my earlier video for more. Hopefully it's clear by now, and with the previous videos, that socialist countries are superior in delivering a better quality of life, often on remarkably short timescales. Turns out that people work very hard to improve their circumstances if they're given the opportunity to fully participate in how their society functions, and not only to serve profit. A better world is possible. That's all for today. If you enjoy what I do, then please consider supporting me on Patreon. It really does help. I'd like to thank my patrons, so thank you too.
Interesting. Hi. Wait, what? The video. Oh, no. Not that. Let me get rid of the video from the playlist. Easy peasy. Oh, I got the one I already watched before too. Try to keep this playlist tidied up. This is one that I saw before. Remove this one, remove this one. I got a few good ones here. Can't decide. This bunch of nerdy one will probably bail out of if it gets too bad.
Left, which uses
earlier on in the stream, way back, we looked at some technology, AR glasses bullshit, something. And this was a video that seemed similar but different, but it actually seemed to do a better job of explaining the technology and stuff. So let's, I shouldn't have paused the music just yet. Grab all this, put it there. I need to hit this, grab this. Never seen this channel before, at least I don't think I have. I don't recognize it. Manually unpin and go.
This headset has so-called light field displays, which can do two pretty mind-blowing things. First, they can simulate
shit that I think is interesting, but shit that I'll never buy because it's insane.
lenses. The company built them into a vision test prototype that allows someone like me who wears glasses to look into a box and see various digital lens simulations and simply select the one that looks the sharpest. After a couple of minutes, the machine told me what prescription I needed using just a display and some software, and if they built this into perhaps a VR headset, I could use that without having to put glasses or contacts on at all. But second, the display can also show real 3D with actual depth. And usually I'm not too excited about that when it happens in a cinema or on a TV, but in smart glasses, that makes all the sense in the world. Here's a demo that we shot with a camera through a transparent version of this light field display, and you can see an ice cream cone rendered close to the camera around where the hand is, plus then a Ferris wheel that at 2 meters is about as far back as me back there. As we move the focus of the camera, you'll note that the digital objects come in and out of focus just like the real ones. Both your eyes and the camera can pick up on this, which shows that they have real 3D depth. And you might be thinking, hey, isn't that somehow normal? Don't all VR and AR displays already somehow show you depth? And the answer is that no, actually not like this. Regular VR and AR devices work just like this old Google Cardboard where you strap a phone to your face. The displays actually use flat 2D panels with no depth to them and just a couple of lenses in front. They do show two slightly different views of the world to your two different eyes, which tricks your brain into thinking that there's some depth there, but there isn't. It's just two flat images. To demonstrate, here's a comparison shot through a Microsoft HoloLens on the left, which uses a flat display, versus one shot through a light field display on the right, which has depth. Both devices are showing the exact same 3D scene with 3 different planets that are each at a different distance. One planet is close at around this piece of paper that marks 25 centimeters, while the other one is far away, closer to where you can see me in the background. Looking at our light field display, as you change the focus of the camera, you can see the focus gradually shifting on both the real world and the digital objects correctly. And mind you, it's not the display that is blurring some objects, it's the camera focusing on different parts of the image. You can do the same with your...
That's kind of nuts. To imagine that the game world is rendered, or whatever the 3D thing is rendered in your vision, and then it's up to your eyes to decide what you look at. Would feel very natural to your human self, but it would be difficult to capture that inside of like a video game that you're then sending to a stream, or like when you're playing Half-Life Alyx and your friend wants to sit down at your computer and see what you're seeing and like respond, you know, enjoy the show through your lens, because they would just see the world rendered as the optional. Maybe there would be a version where everything is sharp that could then be similarly shared. I don't know. It's interesting.
Your eye as well, and the virtual objects really behave like physical objects would, coming in and out of focus depending on where you look. Meanwhile, with the flat display of the HoloLens, all 3 planets are either simultaneously in focus or out of focus depending on your camera settings. There is no gradual shift, and the digital world cannot match reality at all. You can see this especially clearly when the hand is completely blurred, but the planet, which should be right next to it, is fully in focus. Things just don't align. This misalignment between digital objects and the real world around them that you can still see in AR glasses is one of the things that makes those headsets really difficult to pull off very well. And this lack of true depth is one of the things that makes people actually sick in VR. You don't immediately consciously notice, but your brain definitely knows that something doesn't add up. Now, you might have heard of light field technology because it's also used in Google Beam, the new and super expensive video calling device that Google has developed, which apparently makes people feel like they're talking to a real 3D avatar of someone that they're calling, all without having to wear glasses. So this technology finally seems to be gaining some momentum after being stuck in labs for
Well, why?
many years, and I actually got to try some of it myself.
2 days ago.
Disclaimer. Serial gave me a tour of their office and their lab in Switzerland. That said, no money exchanged hands between us, I paid for my own travel, and Serial never asked for and also never received any editorial control over any of my output. Instead, this video was sponsored by Nebula and people like you whose subscriptions make it possible to just digitally and know this monitor and those with
that was fast.
Before we get whose subscriptions make it possible for me to travel and bring you high quality videos.
This is like, I don't know, non-sex pest tech-tone, I guess.
Videos like these. Okay, before we get to the AR devices, I wanted to show you this Vision Care device because I thought this was really cool. What you're looking at is a white box in which there are displays for your eyes, and we're filming those with various cameras through their lenses. You can see the real-time output of one of those cameras to this monitor, and on the right, you can also see a computer which essentially runs the Vision Care software. You might know that in current Vision Care tests, someone like an eye doctor puts various physical lenses in front of your eye, and then they ask you whether you see well with them or not. Well, this
Girl,
machine
your
does the same
mascara
thing,
is
just
tarantula.
digitally, using 3 different types of exercises. lenses. First, you try to read letters that get smaller and smaller. Second, you look at a series of black and white boxes where you have to select the one that looks the sharpest to you. And third, you're shown various 3D scenes where you have to set the focus until various parts become sharp. All of these scenes digitally simulate lenses, and what's wild is that a digital screen can of course simulate many different lenses simultaneously. Each of these boxes has a different diopter, for example, and you can just pick the one that looks the sharpest to your eye. During this time, you're leaning against this box, and you do all your selections using a game controller. It's kind of like playing a game. As you make your choices, the machine gets better and better at understanding what correction you need, and so by the end, it should put out an accurate reading, and it should also be able to show you full scenes that look perfectly sharp to you. Up to 5 diopters, that is. Now, somebody who's been wearing glasses for the last 20 years or so, seeing a display actually mimic my own glasses was a pretty mind-blowing experience, but sadly things were not quite perfect. While the display did look much better to my eye than it does to the camera, like for example, there wasn't nearly as much flickering, plus these grid lines and other artifacts were also not quite as obvious, they were definitely still visible at times. Also, I got a more or less accurate reading on the machine on one of my eyes, but the other one was off by about 1 diopter. Now, the display for now can only go up to like 5 diopters, and my eyes are like right at the edge of that, so maybe it's something related to that. And also, this is still a prototype, so things can still improve. But
also, depending on when you got an eye test, and then how accurate that eye test was, and then as your eyes shifted, like you're saying, it was off by 1 because it doesn't match your current prescription, but you know, there's other variables involved.
Yeah, not quite perfect yet. Anyway, what's exciting is that Serial actually partnered with a big lens maker and an eye care company, which I'm not allowed to name for some strange reason, but
it makes sense that an eye care company is like, whoa, a cheaper way to do this? Let me see. And again, not capitalism that designed this. It's just researchers. So like, it's not like eyewear companies found a new way to do eyewear exams easier and better. They're just jumping over on some other form of research, right? They're just grabbing it.
It's one of the very big and obvious ones.
And then putting a fucking, patent on it probably, and then making it proprietary to that one brand.
Which you might be able to guess yourself. They told me they want to bring this product to market together, so that's an encouraging sign that this is not just vaporware. Now, before we move on, it's important to understand that Serial, both in the vision care devices and AR, is just a component maker. The only thing that they want to make is the display and all the drivers and everything that goes into actually using that display. Everything else around that display, the customer, whoever it ends up being, will do themselves. The vision care company will presumably make their own box and software, and if an AR company like Meta, for example, wants to buy these for their headsets, they'll then design their own cameras and operating system and chips and everything else that they want. So everything that you see on these prototype headsets here, except the displays, is a placeholder, 3D printed and held together by glue and prayers. Now, this version shows us what just the display and their various related bits look like today, and you can see that for now it consists of 3 main parts. First, this is a display driver, which we'll come back to later. Second, and more importantly, this is a projector in the stem of the glasses. This projects an image onto the lens of the glasses, and indeed, if you look from the correct angle from the front, you can even briefly see a little bit of light being projected from the stem of the glasses. Meanwhile, on the lens itself is the third element, which is a holographic film. On this prototype, you can directly see that for now they're applying these as stickers, and the little circle on top is the holographic part that is basically a special mirror that reflects the projections back into your eye. If you've seen my video on transparent displays, you might remember that some other smart glasses, like the Focals by North, used a very similar setup, and the core logic is basically the same here. So far this is pretty standard stuff. The image gets projected from the stem of your glasses onto the lens, and then it gets bounced back into your eye. But then here comes the twist. Literally. Take a look at this shot of the eyepiece. In it, you can see the so-called eye box, where you can usually see the image, and on it, you might recognize the same planet with the little rocket ship that I've already shown you earlier. But then, once I move the focus of my camera, you can see that what appeared to be one image actually gets generated using something like 30 projections, and your eye just combines these into a final scene. So what do we need all of these different projections for? Well, each of these actually shows you the same image, just from a slightly different perspective. Your eye then combines all of these into one image that it thinks has real depth. Here's the shortest way that I can explain it. This is the human eye. It has a lens through which light enters, and the retina at the back.
So instead of having 2 separate visions of the scene, one in one eye, one in the other, the slight differences create the diopic vision to allow you to go, oh, it seems like this is what's a little bit behind it, and this was a little bit behind that from this angle versus that angle. And this was what creates something looking close because both eyes can see it here, whereas this is what something feels far because both eyes see it. It creates the whole perspective angle. But by creating multiple things for your one eye to encounter in its own rotation and movement and focusing, I suppose gives each eye its own unique ability. I mean, I guess it's better for somebody who only has one eye.
Where light receptors actually perceive what you're seeing. Imagine that in front of the eye there is a butterfly somewhere close and the tree somewhere further back. Now also imagine that we view the world only through two tiny pinholes in front of our eye, one on the top and one on the bottom. Light rays from both the butterfly and the tree pass through both pinholes through the lens and land on your retina. Your eye can then change the shape of its lens to bend the incoming light waves. When it's bent so that the two images of the butterfly overlap exactly, the butterfly appears sharp and is now in focus, which simultaneously leads to the tree not overlapping and therefore appearing out of focus. But change the shape of the lens again until the tree images overlap, and now that is in focus and sharp, while the butterfly is now out of focus. Your eye can use this information to perceive depth. So if you projected a digital scene with the correct perspective at the correct point of your eye, you would also see an image that has real depth, even with 2 points. Of course, the more pinholes or the more viewpoints that you add, the more convincing the effect actually becomes, and so Serial has built various versions that have about 24 to 30 something of them. Each of these pinholes projects the same 3D scene, just from a slightly different perspective where all the objects are shifted relative to each other a tiny bit. And this is enough to trick your brain or even your camera into seeing images which appear to have real depth. I don't have a way to verify this, but they claim that they were able to do these perspective shifts with only a small calculation overhead, and what's even more fun is that all of these are actually done with one single projector and a MEMS mirror. That is this tiny guy, which is a little electronically controlled mirror that can very rapidly change its orientation. The projector can output up to 8,000 images per second that the MEMS mirror then rapidly directs to the various pinholes.
You definitely want to have a high refresh rate, well over 60. You're going to want 120. Hell, you might even want 240. So 240 times however many mirrors is how many images it needs to project per second. So that would be a large number.
Fast enough to actually trick your brain that it's just looking at a final video with about 240 frames per second. How insanely cool is that? Like every time I make a video about AR and VR tech, somehow it's the most crazy thing I've ever heard, and also nobody seems to know or care about any of it. Anyway, that's how the tech basically works. Now,
VR spent all its goodwill by being capitalist. No companies wanted to risk the engineering. The closest thing to a socialist company is probably Valve, not in the way that they sell CS knives, but in the way that they are willing to invest in a thing and make it work. When they do something and they do it right and they set their mind to it, that's the way Valve does it. They build infrastructure. Like Half-Life Alyx was literally just we should make a really good game for VR so that way people could, get interested in VR. And it completely worked, but they were like the only one that fully went through it. And it was an amazing game. One of my favorite games ever. As far as A, being an old man, B, being a Half-Life fan, B, or C, always being incredibly interested in VR. And when VR first kicked off, I avoided it, and then right before 2020 happened, I got some, and then I had it for the pandemic, which I guess was good, but no one else really embraced it. And then there's the motion sick part of it, and there's the need a lot of gear part of it, and there's the I was an incredibly sweaty person part of it.
Is any of this actually coming to real products anytime soon? Well, it's complicated. I definitely see the Vision Care product being an immediately obvious good use case if they manage to refine it a bit further. Now, as for smart glasses, I'm a bit more hesitant. On the cheap end, they're really simple smart glasses like those from Meta Ray-Bans or the upcoming Android X.
Like having a small projector that could hit a piece of holographic, but the holographic would probably create some amount of oddity to your vision. It wouldn't be perfectly clear. So that would be really annoying to have this section of your fucking vision be this like fucked up right in the middle of your goddamn eyes. You could try to do like the upper half of your eye where you can like tilt the glasses down and see your importance, your weird digital shit, but then you go back up and then it's normal or something. You could try having a flip down mechanic where you can bring down some holographics and bring them back up if they're not needed. And also it'd be good because like, oh my God, I need to drive. I need to see, you know, like something really important. You could have a way to like clear it off. But if you're outside, a projector is going to fucking suck because it's so goddamn bright outside. Not having a closed in system to then give you a projection, you're really, you know, when I heard it was a projector, I was like, that kind of sucks. I understand how a projector is easier to bounce light into your eye than to generate it from a clear surface and then shoot it into your eye. But damn, I wish there was a way to do that other one instead.
XR platform for Google definitely don't need this complex of a display. Those just show little heads-up displays with a little bit of text and weather where everything being flat is completely fine.
I mean, I kind of dig that. Like, that's the kind of shit that I was most interested in. Obviously, full-on three-dimensional elements and shit would be amazing too, if it worked fluidly. What is this called?
Or the upcoming Android XR platform for Google definitely don't.
Android XR platform. XR. This video was from 2 days ago, so. Fuck a smartwatch, dude. I don't need AI. First will be available in 2025. Well, they didn't really talk about it, did they? Learn more. Everyone has to be Apple. They got to do this whole thing with a fucking floating purgatory with. Wait, is that it? What you got? Yeah, whatever. Yep, I've seen these images already. Wow. The clam. Grok, how do I please a woman? Grok, what is this? That's a vagina. How fucking dumb did they look, though? Don't just fucking show me, you know, this bullshit. Yeah, it's the same fucking website. Oh, and I hit learn more. It just took me to the other one. Yeah. AR Core. Like, look at that. Imagine playing fucking, I don't know, chess, and then the pawn pulls out a fucking pistol and shoots the rook and then takes the space. That's like fucking Star Wars, you know, 3D, 4D chess or whatever. Whatever, man. Good luck. I don't think so. I don't think so.
Don't need this complex of a display. Those just show little heads-up displays with a little bit of text and weather where everything being flat is completely fine. But on the other extreme, Lightfield definitely seems to make sense in high-end headsets. Think in the military, where combatants want to see complex information while their hands are busy, or surgeons who would have similar needs. At least initially, these are the areas that Serial is targeting. That makes a lot
Military funding. Give me all the money.
of sense, and we'll see if they can make a
We can be like the F-35. We can cost however many trillions, never make a working product. You're good to go.
product that is actually polished enough for these markets. Because as cool as these displays already are, there's also clearly still work that needs to be done. For example, remember that this part here is a display driver that we'll get back to later? Yeah, for now, that is essentially a whole computer using an FPGA. This whole thing will have to get miniaturized into a single tiny chip, which is what display drivers usually are. That is definitely doable, but making a fully custom chip is a lot of work, it costs millions of dollars, and it's just one of the many things Serial still has to do. Other things include fixing the—
I mean, making one cable that goes into your fucking, you know, chest pocket or something, not that big of a deal if you really had to. Keep it as a circuit board.
their holographic films. It's cool that you can stick them onto existing lenses, so someone could use their own vision correction lenses underneath, for example. And I also really like that the actual holographic area was barely visible to the naked eye, but all the stickers on the prototypes looked pretty fragile and already damaged. And then there are also limitations that are kind of just inherent to the design. Like, for example, the projection system and the holographic film and everything has to be perfectly aligned for your eye, otherwise it's not good. So that means custom fittings and loads of fiddling with knobs. Now, the team I met was very honest and obviously aware of their current limitations. Also, the team consists of really smart people, including loads of—
They're just probably, you know, the actual test engineers and shit. So they're like, all right, in order to get this shit to work, here we go. Right, they're not fucking salesmen. You know what I mean?
Of PhDs and people who worked on, for example, the Intel glasses and also Magic Leap, and so they seem to have the right people to tackle these challenges. And I wish them the best. Now, I put a lot of effort into making sure that my videos are original, informative, and also reasonably accurate. But increasingly, my YouTube recommendations are full of AI slop that clearly has no aspirations for being accurate. I absolutely hate that I have to mistrust everything that I see on the internet by default now, and if you do as well, I think you'll really love Nebula, which by definition only features high-quality creators making a real effort. All of us on Nebula are the kinds of creators—
What a pitch to be like, do you want slop? Do you want to avoid slop? Buy my product. Buy my thing. Interesting. Interesting overall. Huh? Oh, the clip has 5 views. Something's weird in my OBS window. Everything's coming up all like jagged until I click on the window and then it fixes the font. It's really weird. The display is like, I don't know if you can see, but like the word stream chat is all like crunched. But if I click it, then it's back to normal. It's really weird. It has me concerned that there's some problem with my OBS. Like again, it's crunched again. It's all fucked up. And as soon as I click it, it comes back. And there's these weird artifacts and stuff too. Trying to see if I can get one to stick again. Like here. These little like pixels get left behind with the previous words. Really weird. What if I just do a refresh? I thought it was in here somewhere. Oh, right there. Refresh. Nope. Word stream chat gets all fucked up again. And then sharp, and then not sharp. It's something weird, man. My display settings or something got weirded out. It's not actually difficult. It's just weird that it's different. That's the most uncomfortable part of this. Is like, why is it different? And what does that mean is going to explode or break soon? That it's that fucked. Maybe it's as simple as just relaunch OBS, but obviously I don't want to do that now while I'm streaming. But it just makes me concerned. Concern. Okay, let's throw the tunes back on as we chill. Gonna get rid of this out of my playlist. We definitely hitting a nice smooth vibe. So we're gonna play something that might not be an overall crowd pleaser otherwise. Maybe. Obviously lurkers can lurk. I don't even know where I would. According to this, I have one viewer, so I don't know if there's many lurkers other than Kara. Maybe it's not even smart to keep streaming when there's this little amount of people here, because it ruins my averages, and then I don't get, I don't know, pushed into the algorithm or something. Also, there was supposed to be this thing where you can make alert boxes inside of Twitch. And then if you did that, let me see here. Viewer rewards. Power-ups and channel points. Manage power-ups. What the hell's a power-up? I don't give a shit about this. Oh, these cost bits. It's a way to get bids going. So if you can make your own things that cost bits, I guess. And it's kind of like a channel point or a different redeem, but I guess that makes sense. It's just built in. So if you wanted to have an effect that cost money, instead of like, I used to have all these different effects like move cameras and do all these different things. I guess the daily check-in is one that exists right now. Make gnome noises or play a head crab and do weird things like make my hair bald and shit. Activate a PNG tuber, all kinds of things. But I kind of got away from doing all that silliness because I didn't like it when people would just hit it and make me do something like a dance monkey dance kind of situation. But under viewer rewards emotes, there was an option for I think I've officially unlocked them. Because there was emotes that you had to unlock by allowing a Twitch alert box. And I'm like, how do I earn this alert box that I have? And now I guess I finally have. That's good. So I could be like, this one. Wait. I don't have my monk. I guess I don't have Monka turned on anymore. I just thought it wasn't as good. There you go. Got Shook added back. I think you already have a mountain rave. We got mount and then mount rave. Error dance, logo, and heh or whatever. The heh is an animated heh over here. So instead of heh, it's heh heh. It's moving. None of these are animated. Tier 3 is that one face. I made the deny. Is my rage one. I guess we can make another animated emote. Wonderful. Maybe make the Filco rolling emote or something. And then we still have a tier 2. Nobody's really a tier 2 user, so it doesn't really matter. Crab is already up here. They both have one standard and one animated. To be fair. And they also both have one cartoon. Again, being fair to both kitties. So maybe it shouldn't be. Or Filco's, we replaced the Shook one. I mean, I guess I can just throw crit back. Wow. Crit's a dumb one, but whatever. Might as well. Just for the time being, so people have something. That was a long time ago when I was playing a Nuzlocke Pokemon thing. All of these emotes I've made, or Kara has made. Basically, Kara made the crab ones, the love and crab thing, and she made the dank ZZ. The rest I made. The Shure, the Ouija's always pretty simple. The tech one I had to steal from that image. Rage, Lightning logo are all pretty much just things. Heh. The one I just took over from a thing. But the Shure was a lot of editing. The Slay is kind of its own insane thing. We make our own emotes around here. Making good emotes is actually a good tech for a small streamer, because if people see the emotes get shared a lot, used by other power users, it can be a powerful thing that people go, you know what, I like those. I do want to subscribe for the emotes. Or I'll check out their stream because I see these emotes everywhere. What's their fucking channel name? Ah, there it is. Like, it's kind of good advertising. It's incredibly smart. So I'm happy that I finally got that thing. This randomly came up in my mind when I was looking at the channel dashboard to see, like, wait, do I have any viewers right now? And it's like, not really. Not really. It says my stream is unstable for some reason, which is confusing, to say the least. But whatever. It always thinks it's unstable, unfortunately. Even though my frame rate is fucking butter smooth. My title's good, yeah. Okay. What did I want to watch? I'll save the signifier video for later. When there's other viewers here that would appreciate it. Anyway, older stuff that I think is just worth watching to get it out of here, but to technically watch it on stream. Not really. I don't know what this video is, so I guess I want to watch this.
I was listening to the Facebook whistleblower hearings with Senator Josh Hawley a few months back. One of the elements that stuck out to me was when they were talking about how if an underage girl has deleted a selfie, Meta keeps track of this because they know that this person likely has low self-esteem at that moment that they deleted a picture of themselves, which means that they may be more apt to purchase something from an advertiser of a cosmetic product. And I think about this within the context of what companies used to get in trouble for and what they do, or more importantly, don't get in trouble for today. I grew up in the 90s, a time when Microsoft had hell and fury fall down upon them because they bundled a web browser with their operating system. Whether you think this is a good idea or not.
What a crazy shock suspension system on a regular ass ARM to have rubber bands going across. But then wouldn't you just clap into this? I don't know, but it's a really nice mic, obviously.
I personally think that a web browser being installed in every single person's computer that's standards non-compliant, that is so bad that you can literally get a virus from visiting a website, has its problems. But when you look at what it is that companies got in trouble for in the 90s, it just doesn't hit the same when you look at what companies get away with now. I remember having a Dell Dimension 233 back in the day, and if you wanted to get the one that had slightly better graphics, they would give you a free installation of Microsoft Office. And with Microsoft Office back in the day, it came with Clippy. Whether or not you like Clippy and whether or not you liked Microsoft Office or having an operating system that had the browser built into it that could easily get you a virus when you visited other websites that were trying to invade your privacy, the one thing that you could say, unlike Facebook, who is trying to profit off of young girls that feel suicidal, Clippy simply wanted to help. He might have been annoying, but he just wanted to help. There were no ulterior motives. If you told Clippy that you were having a bad day, he wasn't going to use that information to try and figure out which advertiser to sell you to, nor was he trying to steal your personal data or get you to purchase other Microsoft products. He had no ulterior motives. He was simply there to help. Unlike many modern pieces of software, like what you get from Adobe or Intuit, where you can't buy QuickBooks anymore. You can't buy a video editor anymore. You have to pay a subscription fee for it. If I
Resolve Studio, brother.
I were to boot up that computer that has
Yes.
not been used for 28 years, and I wanted to start
I'm not here to like say, aha, you've been bested in the marketplace. Like,
up Microsoft Word, I could do so without connecting to the internet. And Clippy would still be there, happy and as enthusiastic as ever, simply wanting to help. Adobe is another example of this. This is a company that tried to twist people's arms into having AI and machine learning stuff go through their personal data. Not public data, not the speeches that I give, not my website or my blog posts or my videos, but my private data, the stuff that I'm editing. And there were people that were not able to get into their account until they agreed to this new end user license agreement. When they are looking for access to your data, they're doing so because they want to train an AI on how to do what you do without paying you, without your consent. Clippy simply wanted to help. When Clippy would
I get it. Okay.
ask you if you wanted help with writing your letter, Clippy wouldn't even read the contents of your letter. He just wanted to offer suggestions. Game of Thrones had, I'm not going to spoiler alert, there's this Sons of the Harpy in season 5. They were these people that wore masks and they pushed back against the new regime. And the purpose of the mask was to let the leaders know that when you see people with this mask, we are against you and your new regime, and we are going to push back against it as often as we can. And the worry with the Sons of the Harpy mask is that it starts with one person putting the mask on. And then somebody else gains the balls to put the mask on. And then 20 or 40 or 100 of them put the mask on. And once 100 or 1,000 of them put the mask on, there's nothing that the leaders can do at that point. Enough people have put it on, and enough people have come together with solidarity. And they're going to do something about it. Now, granted, this may not be the best analogy because, spoiler alert, they were trying to bring back slavery, and they also were just bad people. Khaleesi kind of became a shitbag at that point, too. But besides that, I think that Clippy is like a modern-day Sons of the Harpy mask. If you're tired of companies changing the terms of the sale after the sale and getting away with it, turn your profile photo to a Clippy. If you're tired of companies that have the ability to reach into your house and ransomware your products so that they stop working unless you pay them again, claiming that that's legal, but then when somebody tries to give you back access to what you bought and paid for, that's illegal, change your profile photo to a Clippy. If you're tired of sex bots invading the comment section on a regular basis and their comments always posting with no problem, but your comments being censored even when you're not saying anything that bad, change your profile picture to a Clippy.
What are you saying? Yeah, I mean,
If Google being one of the premier
why am I like this?
data mining companies on earth not being able to tell that little fucking cat with 2 pillows next to it that they try to make look like an ass so that thirsty young men click it as they normalize sex trafficking on the platform that doesn't allow you to express an opinion bothers you, change your profile picture to a Clippy and let them know that you're not happy. Clippy never tried to normalize sex trafficking. He just wanted to help. If you're tired of companies saying out loud that the reason they want to keep you from
Oh no, we're gonna milkshake duck Clippy now.
fixing what you bought and paid for is that may take money away from them, change your profile photo to a Clippy. I never expected to win the legislative battle. It would be nice if I did, but it was never something that I set as I need to do this or I'm a failure. What I always hoped to do was win the cultural battle, where all of you understand what's going on and you decide that enough is enough. If I ever have a chance in my personal life to push back against this, I will. You're maybe not going to send that email that you're supposed to send to Interso to tell them, oh, by the way, make sure this chip doesn't end up on Mouser.com. Here's an NDA, blah, 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 the supplier agreement. Maybe you just forget to send that email. When there's a new consumer rights law that the senator that you work for is on the fence about supporting, and there's a lobbyist that's going to be against it that wants to have dinner. Whoops, maybe their invitation went to spam. I didn't see that. Sorry, boss. Maybe you quit before you create a fake paywall to test if your customers will pay again for what they already paid for. Or maybe when you send out that ransomware firmware update, you make it opt-in instead of opt-out. Whoopsie, if in some bizarro world it is actually illegal to make a thermostat work again, and this bastard of a CEO decides to try and get the individual in trouble, 10 cases to prosecute, only got time for 6. Maybe I just ignore this one. When a company CEO logs into their Slack and sees 10,000 Clippies looking back at them, what I hope occurs is that they intuitively understand that they no longer live in a world where they can get away with fucking over the consumer. That their employees, their partners are not going to be accomplices to this anymore. That they are alert and they are aware of what is going on, and they are going to politely but firmly push back against it. Every single one of those 10,000 people will be an obstacle to the anti-consumer practices and the anti-ownership practices, and it will no longer be another cog in the assembly line sending us all into a dystopia. There will be a moment where that one person who usually would not have a say in anything can be activated, and in that moment, keep the world from sliding further into a dystopia, or help push it forward in the opposite direction. But we all have to get together, and the first step is making it public that we know what's going on. That starts with a Clippy. On YouTube, if you're with me, I ask that you change your profile picture to a Clippy. At work, change your Slack profile picture to a Clippy. If you work at the White House, don't take down the United States flag, but somewhere on the grounds, put up a flag of a Clippy. Clippy's a symbol that what used to be considered one of the worst annoyances in our life would now not only be welcomed, but for all of his flaws, celebrated as an idol. Because for all of these things that occur right now where there is negative malice of intent, I want to take away what you own. I want to take this back. I want to get your data. I want to sell you to an advertiser when I know that you're crying. Clippy just wanted to help. And if you were to turn him on today, unlike most cloud bullshit, he'd still work. Hulu Foundation is going to be announcing the winners to both the Future Home Bounty and the Echelon Bikes Bounty within the next month. Us offering $5,000 here, $20,000 there. It pushes the ball forward. But at the end of the day, that does nothing in contrast to organizing all of you. We're happy to get the ball rolling, but for us to truly win, we need to show that if you push us, Clippy clips back. That's it for today. And as always, I hope you learned something. I'll see you all in the next video.
We also have the duty not to infringe the IP rights in the process. It is in fact the manufacturers who have the relevant rights, not consumers.
Honestly, a good message, I think. Good luck on the Clippies. I mean, I'm a fucking burgeoning content creator, so my icon is kind of important. But keep that continuity going between recognizing shit, but also I don't post that much. I appreciate the individual solidarity. You know, I kind of like rising up against the enemy. How cringe is it to go with a Game of Thrones or whatever. But I support the initiative. Good luck to all those who do. I would never besmirch those who go for it. I feel like it can only generally do good. I don't think it has a negative or a realistic negative angle to it. Easy to having to jump up on my lap here, so I'll save all the cool pet videos for when we have more people. What do you think, ZZ? Should we maintain our energy and come back later, or should we stay live? What do you think, little girl? You think we should stay live? You probably don't want me getting up. The printer finished. It lowers it down when it's done, so you can only see the tiniest little bit of it right about here-ish. Happy cat's eyes. Just little purrs, nothing too crazy. Just a little face as you scritch it. It's hard to be too sad when you're around a kitty cat.
A sweet little kitty like this. You're a sweet little kitty. You sweet little kitty.
Like giving her little nose, forehead rubs. She kind of likes it when it kind of opens up her sinuses a little bit or something. I'm not sure. Sometimes she likes it. If she doesn't like it, I don't push too hard. I don't push too hard. He's probably hungry. It's 7 a.m. Yeah. Only streamed 3 hours. What a bitch. Easy, we suck. Maybe you watch another video. Oops, sorry, that's my ring. You can watch a goofy fun one. I think this one was... I forget which one was older. I wish they gave you the dates of these videos. I'll just open up both and see.
How many times can a person...
This one was 8 months ago. Spotted the winner.
Head to extra time.
4 months ago. Well, we have our answer. It's a Tug video. Not everybody likes Tug videos, but I like Tug. Tug was organically from my own fucking algorithm. so I kind of feel like, you know, he's mine. No, I've never seen anybody else watch a tug, so I'll watch a tug video. Also, he's kind of a regular guy. Just an internet young millennial slash Gen, you know, old Gen Zer. I'm not really sure the range. I can honestly see it go either way. All right. What?
Person get tugged? Well, we have found the limit at extratug.com, where you can see exclusive content that I say dirty things in. Go check it out.
Conspiracy theories, something that your uncle was not
Ooh, the New World Order is in this one.
prepared to deal with during the pandemic, and now you don't talk to that side of the family anymore. But listen, sometimes stuff doesn't add up, or it does add up in a bad way. For example, do the letters ITANIMULLI mean anything to you?
Illuminati. I was like, why does this sound like Illuminati to me, but it's Italian? I was like, oh wait, it's backwards.
You? That's right, it's Illuminati spelled backwards. Are you scared yet? Well, if you add .com to the end of that backwards spelling, things get a little bit scarier. If you take that
What, it's mock Illuminati? What?
little domain name and throw it into the Google search bar, you will be brought directly to the homepage of the NSA. That's right, everybody. The government is evil. Case closed, pussies. That's right. Secret societies exist. I knew my uncle was onto something when he kept mentioning rock against communism. I'm sure that doesn't have any secret side meaning that's
What's the name of a white power rock concerts? Sick.
horrible. Of course, only after a few minutes of research do you find that that redirected domain name was the work of a couple pranksters in Utah, Mormons. But for many people, their brains are too small and pea-like to not freak out over what originally is a joke.
That's what I assumed it was, honestly. Not even that the government did it, but that someone else had bought the rights and then just did a redirect.
The joke is then upgraded to misinformation, which eventually becomes confirmation bias. Which, if you don't know what confirmation bias is, the definition from Google is tendency to search for, interpret, and favor information that confirms our prior beliefs or values. And that leads to a bunch of incredibly stupid and unbelievably bad shit happening across this great United States. So it's kind of hard to know where to stand with these ideas of conspiracy. On the one hand, if you already think the government is controlled by liars from elite backgrounds, which in most respects it is, then imagining them in conspiratorial acts of surveillance and assorted subterfuge is not that big of an intellectual leap. If that sentence sounded too smart for my normal script writing, that's because I didn't write that. Shout out Jimmy for that big word sentence. But on the other hand, if you think everything is made up and the points don't matter, then why the fuck would you like go to work or pay your taxes, you know? Wait
I wonder if there even is a Jimmy or if he just does it all himself.
a second. What's that? Oh, do you struggle to sleep every night due to random noises and a lack of mental calmness? What a silly thing to say. You're telling me you're not getting sleep because of your crushing anxiety due to the lack of a work-life balance and also your sort of snoring roommate who refuses to buy a CPAP machine? That's why you can't sleep? Well, I'm not here to call anyone stupid, but you know, since the Oslo Sleep Buds are on the market, you obviously haven't done your research. Oslo Sleep Buds are scientifically created to fit perfectly in your ears so you can sleep on your side or in any position and there'll be no discomfort and they won't fall out at all. And the battery lasts for 12 hours, so you can sleep soundly all night, sugar plum fairies dancing in your head while you listen to some true crime podcast garbage. Oh, and also, last time I forgot to mention, there's a lot more science going on in these sleep buds than I let on. They also have biometric sensors in the sleep buds themselves, so they know when you're sleeping, like Santa. But unlike Santa, it takes all this data and information and takes whatever you were listening to and switches it over to masking sound so you sleep without any
That's probably stealing your biometric data. I'm just gonna guess.
interruptions, which is beautiful and perfect. I love this product. I love this product so much that I put their logo on my livery in iRacing, which means very little to the average man, but if you know, Oslo should know that that's a huge deal and they should be proud. They also wanted me to hold and show the product like I did in the last ad, but I literally left the Oslo Sleep Buds at my parents' house because I used them to sleep through my dad snoring and then my mother stole them from me. So the product is so good it'll turn your mother into a criminal, so that's cool. So thank you to Oslo for sponsoring this video. Click the link in the description or the QR code on screen to get the best sleep of your life. Huzzah! 50% of all Americans believe in at least one conspiracy theory, while 73% of Americans believe that conspiracy theories are currently out of control. So at the American core, we have the issue where we don't trust anything, but at the same time, we think everyone else are the crazy people. I'm not crazy. They are all crazy. I know what's right. Experts blame our mistrust of institutions on the exploitation of the internet. But guess what, baby? I am the internet. You're looking at a bunch of ones and zeros that break shit down to its most basic of components. So today, I'm gonna take off the tinfoil hat and get to the bottom of some of these conspiracies, or I'm gonna put it on. I don't know, which one would I do? And if I'm gonna start anywhere, it's gonna be with conspiracies that I think are probably or possibly true. And I think a great jumping on point would be the granddaddy of them all, the Illuminati. A lot of people have heard about the Illuminati, and most people think it's like, I don't know, an overarching concept. When something is
Capitalists.
shady and authoritarian, it's usually referred to as the Illuminati.
Peter Thiel. Elon Musk, literally in the White House. What do you mean? It's not secretive. It's just there. They do podcasts. They talk about it.
Illuminati, just like a blanket statement for everything Epstein-ish. But it turns out that the Illuminati is real. It's a real thing that exists. That's okay. Or at least it was. It existed at one point. Sorry to pump fake you like that. The real conspiracy here is YouTube engagement. In the less than notable year of 1776, a little group called the Order of the Illuminati was founded in Bavaria. Creator Adam Weishaupt believed that the monarchy and the church were repressing freedom of thought and used the Order of the Illuminati to publish political satire to raise awareness of government corruption. So
just the Lincoln Project of the fucking, German kingdom.
it was originally a group of people that wanted to get together and make fun of the government and religious powers that controlled them. So like pretty much the opposite of what everyone thinks the Illuminati is, so that's confusing. The original Illuminati was inspired by the Freemasons, another conspiracy theory mainstay, and adopted their tiered structures and mysterious rituals. Unfortunately, powerful religious and government figures aren't known for their senses of humor, so the Illuminati was immediately in hot water off the bat. In the late 1780s, the Duke of Bavaria outlawed secret groups, making them punishable by death, which is crazy because that's a pretty nondescript definition. Like, I get on late at night secretly when my girlfriend goes to sleep so I can play, Dominion Online with the boys. Is that a secret group? Should I be put to death? Probably.
I didn't know Dominion had an online version.
For everything I just said. So that put a whole damper on the original Illuminati get-togethers, but the Duke of Cream Pies didn't kill it in its entirety. Nearly 2 centuries later, the hippies entered the scene, and they took the Illuminati torch and ran with it. During the Summer of Love, a sultry little text called the Principia Discordia started getting passed around. It parodied religious tracts with its own belief system, Discordianism, which worshipped Eris, the goddess of chaos. Oh yeah, now we're getting into the real scare the Christian shit. Let's go.
Strife, you mean? I've played Hades too. I know what Eris is.
The point of the pamphlet was to create a sense of civil disobedience through, a bunch of hoaxes and pranks, basically, which in a way mirrored the beliefs of the original Illuminati. And in a strange moment of fate, Playboy writer Robert Anton Wilson loved that idea. He flooded Playboy with a bunch of fake letters to the editors about the Illuminati. There was also boobs in the magazine, which were also probably more interesting than what he was doing, but I can't talk about the boobs because this is YouTube. Chris, go ahead and put down the image of Extra Tug so people know I talk about boobs over there. Thank you so much. Eventually, Wilson went away and co-wrote a standalone book called the Illuminatus Trilogy, a book that would attribute government secrets like cover-ups and other evil shit to the made-up secretive group of the Illuminati. But if we zoom in on the cover of the book here, you'll notice a little quote at the top from the Village Voice. The ultimate conspiracy book, hilariously raunchy, and the biggest sci-fi cult novel to come along since Dune. Sci-fi, science fiction, people didn't get that part. They didn't understand this was a joke. When they wrote this book, they apparently did too good of a job with their satire and world building because people took the bait hard as f. As the 21st century approached, ideas like the Illuminati and the New World Order became less satirical and more like a convenient explanation of growing inequality and subsequent feelings of powerlessness. Now, it's reason.
Dude, humans, male heads, they just get bigger and I'm fucked. My head's already like fucking 2000s Alex Jones. I'm never gonna be able to fucking, I don't know, get my neck through a regular sized t-shirt ever again.
Look for a scapegoat nowadays because things are unbelievably shitty no matter what side of the aisle.
Fucking button down, separate it, put it on, button it up style for the rest of my life.
Politically you lay on. The richest 1% have more than the bottom 99%, and it doesn't seem like one government representative gives a shit about that fact. There's also like the Supreme Court deciding that political free speech includes getting bribes, which that's a real thing and that no one's talking about that really. And with all that going on, it's so fucking stupid to believe in the Illuminati, honestly. Listen, I get that it's fun to think that there are a secret group of people pulling the strings and making things get worse over time for their own financial benefit, but in reality, there is no secret group of people. We know who the people are. They're not trying to hide. Elizabeth Warren has made more money off of insider trading than fucking Warren Buffett. And everyone in Congress always votes against term limits, and they always vote against the interest of every American.
Was it just a Warren joke because of Warren Buffett, or was it actually, did he show like a number? Hold on. We're a vaguely political channel here. She's an advocate for banning it. Net worth is 12 million. Definitely not a Warren Buffett amount. What her husband? She's doing the Nancy Pelosi method. Didn't sound right. Just because I didn't feel like, not that I like Warren. I used to really like Warren, and then I liked Warren less after, kind of backstabbed my man, but whatever. Pretty even split there. Wow. Wait, what? Oh, this is alphabetical. I was like, wow, really? The number one? I thought. Do you have like the total number? No numbers yet. That's not very good. Damn, just a few trades makes quite a lot of money, huh, Nancy? Highest return. Most invested. Only 5 trades. But has made 100% basically. I don't see Warren on this. I have to like actually look at some of these because they're so fucking busted. Whatever. It doesn't seem like it's actually Elizabeth Warren.
People are. They're not trying to hide. Elizabeth Warren has made more money off of insider trading than fucking Warren Buffett. And everyone in Congress always votes against term limits, and they always vote against the interest of every American person. And that's just because all of them want power, and all of them want money, and they're all right there. You can see what they vote on every week. If we all just stop believing in a grand conspiracy and focus on the motherfuckers who are doing shit in broad daylight, the idea of an Illuminati is going to quickly dissipate. I mean, Jesus Christ. Sorry. Anyway, that got too political too quick for a Big Tug video. So let's talk about something a little bit more silly.
Bring it on, Tug. Come on.
So maybe shape-shifting reptilians aren't controlling our government, despite the fact that 4% of Americans believe that conspiracy theory, but I don't have time for that one. But that doesn't mean there isn't something out in the cosmos. With all the shit coming out recently by the US government confirming that they keep seeing shit that they can't explain, clearly the question of extraterrestrial life is more pertinent than ever, which leads us to the supposed home base of alien cover-ups, Area 51. Area 51, for those of you who live under a granite slab, is a highly classified US Air Force facility in the middle of the desert of Nevada, where the US government performs top-secret research. It's been around since 1955, but the US government has not confirmed its existence until 2013, so that's f***ing crazy. By all accounts, that's suspicious, at the very least. And the area around it is crazy. It's got like big fences and armed guards every 5 feet. But despite the fact that you can just go look at it, the American government denied its existence for over half a century. Nobody quite gaslights like Uncle Sam, and you gotta respect that hustle. According to conspiracy theorists, Area 51 isn't just a place where they test new weapons and aircraft. It's actually, allegedly, a place where recovered alien spacecraft in the bodies of its crew are kept. The original story started in 1947, where unidentified debris ended up in a farmland in Roswell, New Mexico. The Roswell Army Airfield came and collected the debris, even releasing a statement regarding what they referred to as a flying disc. This reasonably made everyone think, was that a fucking alien? And the government realized, reasonably, that we can't let people think that, because that's a little crazy. The next day, officials changed their tune, claiming that the debris was actually just a weather balloon. A classic band-aid on any government whoopsie. Aliens landing in the desert? It's a weather balloon. Accidentally dropping a nuke in Georgia? It's a weather balloon. Everyone relax. In the 70s, an intelligence officer involved in the investigation claimed he had been ordered to keep quiet, and in 1980, the Roswell incident was published, turning a whole new generation onto the supposed cover-up. And we can't talk about Area 51 without at least discussing a little bit of Robert Lazar, our boy Bobby Lazar. Bob claimed to have been part of a classified project to reverse engineering extraterrestrial technology, and that he had read government briefings that described alien involvement in human affairs for over the past 10,000 years. And this is the part where I don't really know what to say, because on one side of the aisle, you have a bunch of people saying that, you know, everything he has said has been debunked, and on the other side, I believe him. I believe Bob Lazar. I don't know, make up your decision for yourself. Go watch an interview with him. Go watch the Joe Rogan he got on, and Joe Rogan doesn't mention trans people in that one, so you're safe. But after decades of debate and denial, the plausibility of Area 51 came back into the mainstream after a bunch of weird shit started happening. In 2023, 3 military veterans testified at a congressional hearing about UFOs. They claimed that the US government operated a secret multi-decade reverse engineering program of recovered vessels, and they also claimed that non-human biologics have been recovered from alleged crash sites. This came on the heels of the release of declassified.
I mean, to think that you're gonna find a fucking alien crashed and dead and recoverable is silly. It makes sense that people that fly around see shit that they don't know what it is, because information is not always shared. Things, even stupid weather balloons and shit are up there they don't know about. All kinds of little things. To see them behave in weird ways. Alternate fucking what's it? Enemy statecraft, different fighters inspecting each other, being confused about what you're hearing and what you're seeing. Also being oxygen deprived in the middle of fucking, 5G maneuvers and shit. Just one of those, like, cover up is that good, then I guess they win. I don't know, man.
Videos showing UFOs, now known as unidentified aerial phenomena, which weird time to rebrand UFOs, but I'm not the government, so what would I know? So does this mean that Area 51 actually picked up an alien spacecraft and was testing that shit in the desert? Well, it doesn't not mean that. But also, if the US government has been reverse engineering alien technology for the last 7 decades, how come I haven't seen any of that shit? How come you guys haven't been giving that to the people? I mean, for f***'s sake, the closest thing we've had to alien technology in the past 70 years is, like, I don't know, the Fushigi?
It's here. It's wild. It's sweeping the nation. It's Fushigi!
All right, now that we've gotten through that, let's talk about...
I need to see that. I'm sorry I'm so low energy. How this make you feel, white boy? I did not see the alien in the background.
All right, now that we've gotten through that, let's talk about the probably not true conspiracies, because it's important to talk about stupid shit sometimes.
I don't feel
too.
good.
Up first, we have the moon landing, and more so the fact that it was fake, which is bonehead behavior. In one breath, conspiracy theorists think that we're reversing...
My dad believed that. My dad believed it was fake. He watched the special on Fox when it aired, and he was like, it's fake. It's fake. And even at the end of the special, they say, don't worry, in 2 years, whatever it was, there's going to be a satellite that goes by that'll see pictures of where they said they landed shit, and we'll finally know for sure if they've done it. Radio silence from that crowd. They're not like, see, look, empty, vacant area. There's nothing there. They didn't say that.
Alien technology. And in the
Were you
next,
afraid?
they say
What
that
the pictures show?
What the fuck? And what's even crazier is that at the same time, the American government was, oh God, no. God, please don't make me talk about them again. I can't talk about the Soviets anymore. Putin is gonna push me out of a goddamn window. Conspiracy theories that the moon landing was staged by the US government started forming around the mid-70s, with the general thesis being we staged the landing to win the space race with the Soviets. Unlike a lot of far-fetched conspiracies, these claims seem to be in good faith, but they've been pretty thoroughly disproven over 50 years. So let me just give you some talking points for the next time you run into one of these dipshits who doesn't believe the moon landing is fake, so you can, you know, quickly end that conversation so your brain doesn't melt. Statement 1. Why does the flag wave in space when there's no wind or air to move it? Answer. The moon's surface is really bright. It's pretty much a white-gray color, and the sun's reflecting off that like freshly laid snow. So the camera's exposure is not going to be able to capture the stars. You can't see the Milky Way galaxy from fucking Times Square. Inquisitive statement. Why are the shadows cast at weird angles? Answer. The moon's uneven surface makes shadows weird. That's pretty much the basis of it. If you don't believe me, go to the moon. Inquisitive statement. How come you don't see the camera and the reflection of the astronaut's helmet? Answer. The camera was built into the space suits themselves. And also, if NASA was faking these fucking photos, you'd think they would just make him hold up a camera. They wouldn't forget that. But one of the craziest parts of this conspiracy is that they sometimes say that Stanley Kubrick, the guy who made fucking 2001: A Space Odyssey, they think he worked with the government to direct the moon landing on a soundstage. And they get this information from the fact that Stanley Kubrick left like clues in the movie The Shining. But like, it's been proven that in order to get the lighting that they needed to take those photos of like the actual sun, they would need to have crazy lighting fixtures that were not possible at the time. And even if they did have them, the bulbs would be so big and hot that everyone would be very unsafe. So yeah, that's stupid. The whole conspiracy is stupid. Stop saying it, because it's not true. And speaking of dumb things you have to stop talking about, we're gonna talk about chemtrails. That's a fucking stupid one. You know when a plane flies overhead on a sunny day and you can see like...
I've worked with many a person who believes in chemtrails. Florida is exactly what you imagine it, I guess.
Like kind of like a smoke coming out from back of it. These are known to scientists as contrails and to dipshits as chemtrails. What's the difference? Well, one is a pretty boring science thing, and the other one is the government is dropping poison on people in order to make them gay or liberal or something along those lines. Contrails are simply trails of condensation that form when hot engine exhaust meets cold, low-pressure air at high altitudes. Snooze fest. But scientific fact has never even slowed a dipshit from saying stupid things out of their gaping mouths. In 1996, conspiracies surrounding these vapor trails took flight due to an Air Force research paper named Weather as a Force Multiplier Owning the Weather in 2025, which, to be fair...
2025? I promise you this has been going on longer, but go ahead.
Concerning title for a research paper. The Air Force paper outlines how weather modification systems in the future could use aerospace forces to achieve military objectives. Once again, that was Jimmy writing. I cannot fucking think of a sentence that smart. However, the EPA has stated that it does not reflect current military policy, practice, or capabilities. But too late, cat's out of the bag. You can't fucking declassify a document that sounds that scary without making the dum-dums all scared. And it doesn't help that the government has, you know, in the future fucked up the sky several times. I mean, for instance, during the Cold War, god damn it, the US and British governments conducted mock chemical warfare attacks, subjecting hundreds of thousands of people to zinc cadmium sulfide, a chemical thought to be non-toxic. But oopsie doopsie, turns out repeated exposure to that chemical creates cancer. So, bro, I don't know why you would
I need to watch his fucking video on the Cold War.
use that specifically. Why not just use like water or something? But just because the government historically up does not mean it's a conspiracy. Because like, have you ever been up on a plane? Gets cold.
Case in point, the government fucks up. So case in point, why do all these conspiracies work so perfectly, right?
Up there, guys. It gets real cold on the outside of airplanes. And then have you ever like breathed your hot breath out in the cold winter air? Does it make a little smoke? Okay, then the fucking conspiracy debunked. Speaking of nincompoops, let's talk about 5G, the dumbest fucking thing ever that people are afraid of. 5G conspiracies are the new kids on the block. Because it's a new thing, people are going to fear it. They did it with rock music, and technically they did it with Jesus and his whole vibe. And let's face it, you don't know how 5G works. I don't know how 5G works. I don't know how Bluetooth works, or Wi-Fi, to be honest. Honestly, I don't even really fundamentally understand a toaster. And unless you're a nerd in the comments section writing out a paragraph trying to explain to me how those things work, which I will not read because reading makes me sleepy, then you don't understand vital aspects of technology. And that's okay. It's actually pretty normal to not
I love that explanation.
understand how everything works in this modern era. It's like
Because that's basically a big portion of my fluoride video.
access to all information because of the internet makes everyone feel like
That
they
never
should
got
know
made.
everything about everything. But in all honesty, that would physically be impossible, or at the very least a large waste of your time. But that's where the conspiracy starts, because instead of accepting the fact that some things require you having a very specialized college degree to understand, conspiracy theorists start asking a bunch of questions in the name of research. And by the end of the whole thing, you arrive at the conclusion that WebMD arrives at, which it's cancer. These things are giving everyone cancer. It's cancer, everybody. everybody go home. But the thing is, 5G isn't that complicated. In fact, it's a little outdated in a weird sense. 5G utilizes radio waves to transmit data. You know, that thing FDR was using for his fireside chats, meaning it falls within the radio frequencies of electromagnetic radiation. But then you say the word radiation and people fucking freak out. But my God, there has literally never been a link between electromagnetic radiation and cancer. It doesn't happen. So fucking relax. You're making
Well, because everything is technically electromagnet radiation.
everyone think we're stupid by saying shit like that.
Everything's on that spectrum. All light is on the same spectrum. Just that when you can't see it, it becomes a wave of a thing that's different. There's infrared that you can't see, but you can see with a camera. There's things that you can pick up with, you know.
Please
It's
just
a whole
relax.
different.
And then the biggest fucking dumb shit of all time is flat earth theory, and this one physically makes me angry to hear about. The earth is not flat. Stop saying the earth is fucking flat, okay? How has the most important invention of all of humanity, the internet, the information highway, the modern Library of Alexandria, how has the internet sent our collective intellect careening thousands of years into the past? We literally figured out that the earth was round in year 5. We were 5 years into this shit and we figured that out. But around 2015, the fridge conspiracy that the earth was flat started gaining momentum somehow. But hey, fuck it, I'm open-minded. How do you flat earthers justify this conspiracy? Well, you see, they look out over the horizon like at the ocean and they think it should curve like a ball, and it doesn't. So the earth is flat? Are you guys fucking idiots? I mean, first of all, the horizon does curve. That's when you see a ship go over the horizon and it disappears. It went around the earth, around, like a round ball. And since the basis of their belief is fucking moronic, they have to come up with a bunch of other shit to explain all the other things going on. They think Antarctica is not a continent. They think it's an impenetrable wall that goes around the entire disk of
Does he link it back to anti-Semitism like I believe the official ice wall theory is?
Earth, I think. And you know the other planets in the solar system? Those are spheres. Those are orbs. Those are globes. But the Earth is not. For some reason. But how could such a patently false, thoroughly debunked conspiracy gain momentum? Well, in all honesty, you've been believing everything I've said so far, and I'm a charismatic dunce, so we're both part of the problem here. Many people who believe this theory claim that YouTube introduced them to it. And they started out watching conspiracy videos, and then the algorithm did its thing and fed them more and more and more conspiracy videos. And now we have people believing shit that the Pilgrims thought was asinine. What the fuck is going on? Now, all that being said, I have to throw some goodies at the conspiracy theorists because sometimes this shit turns out to be true. For example, we have the Canadian gaydar. That's a real thing that happened. In 1961, the Canadian government hired Carleton.
Before he gets off the topic. Answers in Genesis. Hinty. Okay, I don't want to listen to it. I don't want to listen to Netanyahu. One world globalist should becomes flat Earth because, like many conspiracy, are virulent anti-Semites. While overt anti-Semitism is kept out from most Facebook groups, it's all over flat Earth message boards. And the use of that term, globalist, writes on Inverse, the casual observer may think the word globalist, flat Earth believers is simply shorthand for people who believe in the Earth's globe. There's something with the ice wall too, being flat, because most rudimentary scientific tell us it's not. It's questioning everything and not believing that you can see with your own eyes. You can't. Ethos leads to every facet. Surprise! It's Nazi. Behind the bastards. Perfect. Yes. Okay. Well, this is a very long transcript. Jesus Christ. This would be what you would want to listen to if you want to know more about it. Robert Evans' Behind the Bastards is a really good podcast, though.
University professor Frank Robert Wake
But because it wasn't so obvious from the immediate Google search, it makes sense that it wasn't making it to
to develop
video.
gaydar. And no, this isn't anything other than what you think it is. It is exactly what you're thinking. A machine that can sniff out a gay man like a drug dog at a gay pride parade. Of course, at the time, they didn't call it gaydar. That would be too uncouth. No, they decided to call it the much more offensive Fruit Machine. That was the actual title they gave it, Fruit Machine. These officials believed homosexuals had character weakness, which made them disloyal and easily manipulated. Basically, they thought communists were gay. They thought that's what that was. And I mean, the first half of that was demonstrably false, but also gay communists, that's like 90% of Williamsburg. Wake experimented by forcing subjects to look at same-sex smut while measuring how much their pupils dilated. And I mean, I'm not an expert, I'm not a professor, but if I were to measure something on a male's body to see if they were turned on by gay smut, wouldn't be the pupils. Seems like he missed a huge objective there. But also, he probably thought if he was going to be measuring penises, that would make him gay and therefore a commie, so he probably avoided that. Obviously, the Fruit Machine was abandoned and didn't work, but the study and the prevailing ideas that were behind it cost hundreds of people their jobs and fed into the culture of homophobia while sowing seeds of distrust amongst the population. So way to go, Canada. You guys are supposed to be cool and you're fucking up. And then we have Project Sunshine. That sounds fun. I'm sure that's not going to be horrible at all. In 1955, University of Chicago professor Dr. Willard Libby was in charge of Project Sunshine. His goal was to measure the amount of radioactive isotopes that were being absorbed by humans because of nuclear testing. Simple enough. How does this go wrong, you wonder? Well, he claimed that there was huge gaps in his data because it was hard to obtain human samples, particularly samples of children. Uh-oh, is that the comic book level mad scientist alarm going off? That's fucking why is that doing that? So not only did he say he needed an ample supply of radiated children, but also motherfuckers listened to him. Over 1,500 samples were gathered, and by samples I mean body snatchers. People were digging up dead bodies. Shout out to the mad scientist video I made earlier about the body snatchers, but you guys didn't watch that one. It didn't perform, so I don't blame you for not knowing what I'm talking about. They were taking dead bodies, cadavers, and most of them were babies or children. And then in 1960, Libby would win the Nobel Prize in Chemistry. Did I mention these things make people distrust the government? And there's just so much shit that turns out to be actually true, and it's all fucking super fucked up. Listen, the government is lying to you. We all know that. We all know the government lies all the time. And yes, rich people control everything. We know these things. But don't let that fool you. Most of the conspiracies are bad and not good, and they make people look stupid. But no matter how much information there is to debunk it, people end up just not caring. Like that one poster you saw in a dorm room, I want to believe. So enjoy your theories. Just know that you look like a dipshit when you bring up these theories in high school in the back of your mom's friend's sedan. New videos every Wednesday and Saturday. Like, comment, and subscribe. Shout out to the Extra Tuglets for...
Honestly, a very level-headed way to end the program. Because, let's be real, navigating the, sometimes it's, there's more to it, and sometimes it's all just hooey. It's a difficult line to toe to give a proper solution to the whole thing. We watched 3 videos in a row without one other chatting, so that's where I call it a night. I feel like 3 is enough to do that. Probably some metric of time is also good, but you know, I missed the day before because of a bunch of shit. So no worries. I only have myself to blame. Trying to think of things I have to do today. I'm checking my schedule. Sleep is one. I caught up on sleep, and then depression. Whoops. Thank you. Notifications. Nothing important today or tomorrow as far as my schedule and my calendar goes, so that's good. Honestly, this whole week looks pretty open for the most part. I do have one thing to do, which is Chevron stuff, talking to an owner. That can happen whenever. I imagine I'll message. I want to finish that video edit once I get notes from Brett, and then I'll be happy to get that done. And then I can actually, you know, focus on some of my own stuff, while also maybe still finding other projects to do. Things pop up here and there. Getting out of the house once in a while probably would be good for me. I've missed my last 2 opportunities to do so. Make sure you take care of yourself out there. Take care of yourself better than I do for myself. Do as I say, not as I do. Maybe I'll start actually working out for once, because I'm sure that'll put a big improvement. Even though things are feeling a little sore, it kind of feels nice to feel a little sore again, you know? Because then it feels nice to like use a muscle machine on it and go, it feels good. Because it hurts, but it kind of feels good. And you know you're achieving something, you're working towards something. And also you can burn off some of those. There's energies that your body needs to expel, and if you just sit around doing nothing, then you're just burning on anxiety, which is not helpful for anybody. So, thank you for watching. Also, I forgot to do my YouTube video the other day. The stream is just never actually fired off on YouTube, probably because I messed up and didn't hit the button properly or something. But that won't happen today. No viewers for a raid. Make sure you get something done off your checklist. I'll be back tomorrow.